Chapter 67. Of the three conditions, the easiest one was to achieve good results in an official competition. With Rin Kiyono and Toru Watanabe's abilities, all they needed to do was coincidentally hold a competition at the right time. But perhaps many people had already forgotten, so it was necessary to reiterate the mission of the Human Observation Department. As the name suggested, the Human Observation Department, which was founded by Rin Kiyono, was to observe the changes and reactions of humans under certain circumstances. So far, 3 activities had been carried out. Deliberately provoking the Literature Department, helping students who needed to take a makeup exam to increase their deviation by 40 points in a short time, and how Vice Minister Watanabe was able to resist falling in love with Vice Minister Kiyono under her various tactics. They had no idea what the purpose of these activities was. Although there were many organizations with unclear purposes, there were even more that pretended to be sheep's head and dog's meat. For example, the light music department that drank tea all the time, the classical literature department that was obsessed with solving mysteries, the modern cultural research department that only read manga and light novels, and the service department that pursued authentic objects. But these organizations either carried out activities that were in line with the school spirit, or they directly controlled the student council's power. No matter how you looked at it, the Human Observation Department didn't meet these requirements. Then the only way was to increase the number of members. How about we recruit 2 more members? Toru Watanabe suggested. If they're worth observing, I have no objections. Rin Kiyono answered. That was the difficult part. Anyways, let's put up the recruitment flyers first. With the Human Observation Department's popularity, I'm sure many people would want to join, right? Then we'll just have to slowly choose. In order to meet the school's requirements for a new organization, I've been recruiting new members, but you're the only one who's qualified. Rin Kiyono sighed helplessly, as if she was disappointed with Kanagawa High School. She continued, what's worse is that there used to be people coming for interviews, but after the midterm exams, no one came. Did you do something perverted to them? Watanabe-san, use your brain before you speak. It'll make you look less ignorant, and it'll also be good for your safety. That's strange. It was the 3rd day of Rin Kiyono's menstrual cycle. Fine, since there was no investigation, there was no right to say anything. This was the end of this method of timing. Wednesday. After the 4th period ended, Osamu Kanai and Keisuke Saito moved their desks over and put them together with Toru Watanabe's. The 3 of them ate their lunchboxes or bought milk and bread from the supermarket. They had been rejected by the corridor windows. It wasn't just them. Ever since Osamu Kanai said that the 3 of them were looking at the girl's neckline from the window in the atrium, Hiai's, the disciplinary committee member, forbade any male from leaning against the corridor window during lunch break. He clearly couldn't see anything. During the meal, Toru Watanabe talked about the club's recruitment. I saw people talking about this on the school forum, Keisuke Saito said. Tell me about it. Toru Watanabe became spirited. As long as he could find the reason, there would be a way to solve the problem. It's fine if the 3 of you from the Human Observation Department act alone, but when you're together, outsiders will find it difficult to blend in. Why's that? Toru Watanabe was confused. They weren't so close that they couldn't fit a 4th person in. In fact, they could even be described as terrible. Watanabe, you should at least have some self-awareness. Osamu Kanai ate a fried pork chop with big bites. Keisuke Saito explained. The 3 of you are the standard handsome guy and beautiful girl, and your grades are in the top 3 of the grade. The difference between you and the 4th place is more than 40 points. Just because of that? Just because? Isn't that enough? Is this a clash of values? Toru Watanabe muttered to himself. I can't understand the thoughts of people who aren't handsome and have bad grades. Go die handsome. Toru Watanabe was innocent in the face of their angry gazes. Because he was good at his studies and was handsome, he didn't consider these 2 factors when he interacted with others. But personally, no matter what kind of person he was, he didn't care whether his friends were good at their studies or whether they were handsome or not, as long as their personalities were compatible. He didn't know how women chose their friends, but in Toru Watanabe's opinion, most men chose their friends this way. After school, Toru Watanabe went to the activity classroom and relayed their conversation to Rin Kiyono. After listening to them, Rin Kiyono didn't look surprised at all. She drank the tea she made and said, "It's natural for you to feel inferior when you're around me. Not everyone is so loved by the majority as I am, and no one is more honest than I am." That's part of the reason. Toru Watanabe suddenly understood. "What is it?" "It's because you're too honest. It's because you guys like to lie too much. It's fine no matter what." Toru Watanabe said, "Because you're honest like a mirror, reflecting the truth of everyone and everything. But everyone has something they don't want to be discovered, and for them, they definitely don't want to look at you as a mirror for a long time. A mirror that reflects the truth. I don't hate this analogy." Rin Kiyono smiled faintly. "I didn't mean to praise you. Please don't misunderstand." Rin Kiyono glared at him with dissatisfaction. "Let's consider it one of the reasons why no one came for the interview." She put her hand on her chin and muttered, "There's not much hope of recruiting new people, so just in case, we need to prepare the second and third conditions. Forgive me for being blunt, but human observation can only be done in comedy variety shows. It's impossible for there to be an official competition. This is social research." Rin Kiyono corrected him. "Well, it varies from person to person." Toru Watanabe gave a perfunctory reply and took out the student council notice that hadn't been dealt with yet. Rin Kiyono's face darkened. "I need to re-evaluate your learning ability." Yes. Toru Watanabe continued to give a perfunctory reply and pointed at the third condition on the notice. Turn the event content into a visible form and obtain the approval of the instructor. Teacher Koizumi only needs to say a word. The key is that the event content is visible. Help Aoi, a cheeky classmate, realize her love? The spirit of high school club activities doesn't pursue such things. Participate in the Ministry of Literature and Arts essay competition again? We can't go looking for trouble with them again, right? Toru Watanabe didn't want to offend these writers, especially since they were in cahoots with the Ministry of News, and he couldn't beat them up. Then find a club that can't achieve good results in an official competition, and help them win the championship. Championship? If possible, Toru Watanabe hoped that Kiyono classmate could learn from him how to maintain a humble attitude even when you're very outstanding. Let's not talk about whether or not we can win the championship. Are you sure that helping other clubs achieve good results in an official competition will exempt the Human Observation Department from punishment? It's better than doing nothing, right? That makes sense. Toru Watanabe nodded. Then which club? A series of knocks on the door interrupted him. Come in. Rin Kiyono greeted. Sorry to bother you. Aoi Ichiki and Asako Hanada walked in one after another. Chapter 68. Seeing the two of them, Toru Watanabe couldn't help but ask the question in his mind. Are the activities of the Blowing Club that easy? Aoi Ichiki paused, then looked at Asako Hanada. Asako Hanada looked at Toru Watanabe without saying a word, then quickly lowered her head. Sorry, I'm just a bit sensitive about the activities of the club. You don't have to answer me. Toru Watanabe raised his hands and gestured for them to stop talking. But then again, the goal of the Blowing Club was to enter the Tokyo University tournament. If they wanted to enter the national tournament, they should be practicing hard. In April and May, they were practicing hard. The proof was that they could hear the sound of practicing during lunch and after school. But in June, the sound of the instruments became intermittent. Was the rainy season not suitable for playing? I've already told Hanada-senpai about this. The reason they came to the Human Observation Department was self-evident. First of all, Hanada-senpai, do you know Hanada-senpai's sexual orientation? Rin Kiyono asked. Sexual orientation? She should like boys. Asako Hanada secretly looked at Toru Watanabe. Was it because Mai had laughed when he talked about the empty corridor the next day? Toru Watanabe guessed. However, the two people in front of him had straight backs. Seino Rin, who had a slim figure, looked more like a senior. As for Hanada Chauko, her petite figure made her look like a middle school student. Rin Kiyono looked at Aoi Ichiki. Aoi Ichiki's face showed obvious disappointment. Obviously, she already knew the answer to this question from Asako Hanada. Asako Hanada hurriedly comforted her. Iki-senpai, I'm not sure either. Yeah. Aoi Ichiki weakly replied. Student Itsuki, do you still want to continue? Rin Kiyono asked. Aoi Ichiki fell silent. After a while she replied softly. I want to continue, but you're afraid of failure? Rin Kiyono continued for her. If I knew that I would definitely fail, I might as well maintain our current relationship. That way, I can continue to stay by senior's side. During the meeting on Monday, Aoi Ichiki promised that she would confess regardless of whether she succeeded or failed. But now that he knew that the probability of failure was very high, he was afraid of being hated. He was worried that his confession would worsen their relationship, so he regained the upper hand. Toru Watanabe had never liked anyone, but he could understand this feeling. Then let's stop here. Of course, we can continue to ask her out in the future. It's not a bad choice to become good friends. Toru Watanabe didn't care about other people's relationships. This matter originally didn't have much to do with him. It was Rin Kiyono who brought trouble to him. Compared to this, he wanted to quickly solve the crisis of the abandoned club, learn Spanish, and think of a way to deal with Miki Kujo. The activity classroom fell into a dead silence. It seemed that the matter was about to end in this silence. Student Itsuki, is this really okay? Rin Kiyono suddenly asked. Haven't you liked Minoru-senpai since elementary school? You've persisted for more than 10 years. Is it really okay to give up without any results? Aoi Ichiki couldn't help but lower her head. Toru Watanabe looked at Kiyono out of the corner of his eyes. Hey, do you really want to learn about love so badly? We can't even protect ourselves right now. You just have to answer me. Continue or give up. Rin Kiyono's obsidian eyes stared straight at Aoi Ichiki. Here it comes, the lie detector machine. Even Toru Watanabe, who was smart and experienced in lying, could only surrender. Continue. Aoi Ichiki replied as if she had given up everything. Rin Kiyono nodded. Then let's go with the plan. Senpai Hanada, can you help us? I have no problem with that. Okay then, let's continue the battle. First of all, to make it easier to observe the progress of your relationship, Student Itsuki, tell me how your relationship with Senpai Mayasahi is right now. Aoi Ichiki thought for a while and replied. It's very normal, right? I call her Senpai Mai, but Senpai Mai calls me Student Itsuki. It seems that your relationship is very normal. Rin Kiyono muttered to himself. Ugh. There was a reason why there weren't any new members in the human observation department. Other than the amazing Toru Watanabe, who else could endure this kind of truth for a long time? Asako Hanada hurriedly comforted. Don't be sad, Student Itsuki. If your relationship is very normal, it means that even if the confession fails, it won't get worse. Please let her go. Looking at Aoi Ichiki, who was about to die, Toru Watanabe felt pity for her and said, There's no need to really care about how you address each other. Some people are very close, but they call each other by their surnames. Some people obviously hate each other, but they call each other by their names. Really? Of course there are people like that everywhere. Toru Watanabe affectionately called his girlfriend Miki. She was the only person of the opposite sex he would call by her name. But the two of them were stabbed 6 times, injected with succinylcholine twice, and forced to race with a car on Shinjuku Avenue, so Toru Watanabe wasn't lying at all. But directly calling each other by their names, shouldn't there be a special meaning to it? Calling each other by their names so casually, only frivolous people would do that. Asako Hanada completely disagreed with Toru Watanabe's point of view. This guy had already forgotten about comforting his junior. Well, I guess you're right then. Toru Watanabe thought of his first girlfriend, Yoshimi Tamamo, who would casually call him Toru. Ugh. Aoi Ichiki was about to whimper like a puppy. I'm sorry. I just said it casually. Asako Hanada looked like she was about to cry because she messed things up. I'm really worried about her future child's IQ. Toru Watanabe silently mourned for 0.1 seconds in his heart. My Asahi-senpai shouldn't be a frivolous person. Itsuki-san, please accept the fact that your current relationship is very ordinary, Rin Kiyono said. Yeah. Aoi Ichiki was too pitiful. I know. If you don't accept reality, you won't be able to truly move forward. There was always something that one couldn't comprehend from pain. Aoi Ichiki sorted out her emotions and curiously asked, Kiyono-san, among your peers, do you have a girl of the opposite sex who you call by her name? No. Rin Kiyono answered. What about girls? No. She answered again. Aoi Ichiki was a bit embarrassed and turned to ask Toru Watanabe. What about Watanabe-san? I don't have a girl of the same sex. If it's a girl of the opposite sex, Miki Kujo. I see. Aoi Ichiki nodded. What about Hanada-senpai? I don't have a girl of the opposite sex, but I have a few friends of the same sex. Asako Hanada answered in a low voice. You three can call me by my name, I don't mind. Aoi Ichiki smiled and said to the three of them. I don't need it. Rin Kiyono rejected without thinking. Okay, if it's Kiyono-san, she'll definitely answer like that. Me too, I can't do that. Asako Hanada slightly turned her face to avoid Aoi Ichiki's expectant gaze. Senpai. That's because, Asako Hanada took a deep breath and said in a firm tone. Only people who are really close can call each other by their names. Okay. Aoi Ichiki looked pitifully at Toru Watanabe. Watanabe-san, you won't reject me too, right? Oh. If he had known, he would have been the first to answer. Toru Watanabe sighed. He had no choice but to agree. Moreover, the other party was a Yuri who liked girls, so they could be considered as a girl. But I'm sorry. Aoi Ichiki laid down on the table. Her hair that was standing up due to the rain had lost its strength. Rin Kiyono laughed at Toru Watanabe. It seems that Miki Kujo has tamed you very well. It's not because of that. Actually, there was a part of the reason. Watanabe-san is lying to me again. Rin Kiyono mocked and pretended to be surprised. Toru Watanabe had no choice but to tell the truth. If we're good friends, calling each other by their names is of course not a problem, no matter if they're male or female. But think about it. I didn't even do that to you, so wouldn't it be too fake if I suddenly called Itsumi classmate's name? Rin Kiyono stared straight at Toru Watanabe. What's wrong? Toru Watanabe felt uncomfortable being stared at by her. Idiot. Why are you scolding me? Rin Kiyono put her hands in front of her mouth and coughed embarrassedly. Aren't you making Itsumi classmate sadder by saying that? Think carefully about who told me to tell the truth. Let's stop talking about this. Rin Kiyono turned her face away. What we should be discussing right now is how to make my Asahi-san call Itsumi classmate Kue. Kue. Aoi Ichiki was already immersed in her beautiful imagination. Rin Kiyono looked around at the three. Do you have a battle plan? Wait. Toru Watanabe raised his hand. I won't participate. First of all, he wasn't interested in this matter. Second, he had to deal with the abandoned club. Third, if he went out with them again, he would definitely make Miki Kujo angry. No. The only one here who has been in a relationship is Watanabe classmate. Aoi Ichiki wailed. After saying that, she suddenly thought of something and asked Asako Hanada. Hanada-senpai, have you been in a relationship before? Do you have a boyfriend? No. Asako Hanada's face seemed to be in a state of congestion for most of the time. However, because she was very cute, it wasn't a problem for her to keep her face red. Unlike the muscular guys in the sports club, if they kept their face red, they would only be greeted with classmate. Are you sick? Do you want to go to the hospital? Sorry, I already have other tasks. As for your matter, let Kiyono classmate and Hanada-senpai help you. Toru Watanabe firmly refused. Rejected. Rin Kiyono said without any trace of politeness. Why? You're in charge of one thing, and I'm in charge of another. Isn't this the most efficient way? That was just now. Rin Kiyono revealed a kind smile that was full of malice. Now I've decided that the human observation department is a whole, and we should face everything together. Forgive me for being blunt, but changing orders is a big taboo, Director. Please obey orders, Deputy Director. Chapter 69. The light rain didn't stop, and the sound of the rain against the corridor windows was pleasant to the ears. Aoi Ichiki led the way in front, while Asako Hanada and Rin Kiyono talked about the situation in the band club. Toru Watanabe was at the back, admiring Rin Kiyono's long black hair. The four of them were on their way to the band club. That's why a lot of members stopped training recently. Asako Hanada said softly. I see. Qing Yilin nodded and didn't deny it. As for Toru Watanabe, he wasn't listening at all. Although the band club wasn't as good as the baseball and football clubs, it was definitely the #1 cultural club. The activity room had a thick door with soundproofing, and each club had a small classroom for practice. The total number of members was more than 80. Compared to the Human Observation Department, which only had 3 members and used the storage room as the club's classroom, the band club was like Miki Kujo's villa and Toru Watanabe's rented apartment. So many people. Toru Watanabe said with envy. What's the use of having more people? I've listened to their practice for 2 months, and besides the bass part, the rest of them are just a mob. Rin Kiyono commented without holding back. Then she sighed and added. They actually dared to set their sights on the national competition. They're just as ignorant as Watanabe classmate who tried to challenge me. Toru Watanabe, who was called ignorant, didn't care. He awkwardly looked at the 2 members of the band club with an apologetic expression. Asako Hanada and Aoi Ichiki lowered their heads in shame as if their weaknesses had been exposed. Vice Director Watanabe, Rin Kiyono said with the attitude of an elder. Although there are only 2 people in the Human Observation Department, as long as you want to, you can perform as a soloist. It seemed that she had yet to acknowledge Miki Kujo as an official member of the club. Also, even if he was telling the truth, he had to pay attention to the situation. Don't you see that the people in the wind department are looking at you with unfriendly gazes? Asako Hanada, who had also noticed the gazes of the surrounding people, hurriedly said to the 2 of them, Senior Mai is in the small classroom of the bass section. Please follow me. The 4 of them left the large classroom and walked into a classroom that was about half the size of the activity classroom of the Human Observation Department. It was too luxurious. How could a mere vocal department be so luxurious? Before Miki Kujo joined the department, the only place they could move around was the area around the beach table. In the small classroom, Mayasahi was teaching 3 people how to play the bass horn. There were 2 people sitting in the corner, holding a tuba in their hands. Toru Watanabe looked at the first cello case with the name, Asako Hanada, written on it. Senior Mai, Asako Hanada said softly. Junior Kiyono and Junior Watanabe would like to visit. Can you let them stay? Okay. Mayasahi replied emotionlessly. Thank you. The 2 of them thanked her and sat down on the chairs in the corner. Mayasahi was probably the leader of the bass section. In addition to teaching the first-year students, including Aoi Ichiki, she would also organize everyone to play together. Toru Watanabe glanced at Rin Kiyono, who was listening to the music attentively, and decided to use the 30% of his mysterious power that no one else knew about. This was to repay Rin Kiyono for helping him see through Miki Kujo's lies, allowing him to successfully reconcile with her, and also for helping him hide the lie of his confession. Furthermore, he also wanted to quickly end this matter. Ultraman no Transmigrator, Watanabe, you're the first and the last to use the system to help other people woo girls. Detector, open. The blue transparent panel displayed the girl's information. Character, Mayasahi, age 17, intelligence, 7 charm, 8 stamina, 6 intelligence, lacking in emotions. Has a strong desire for things that have a strong impact on the soul. Currently obsessed with Toru Watanabe's smile. No relationship records. Guide available. Toru Watanabe blinked. Linen Asami's pair of eyes that seemed to have come out from a clear summer lake were seriously looking at the music score on the stand. Her cherry-colored lips were pressed against the mouth of the horn that was filled with a sense of coldness. The gentle, broad, and soothing sound of the bass horn flowed slowly in the small classroom. Obsessed with Toru Watanabe's smile? Toru Watanabe couldn't tell that she had such a hobby no matter how hard he looked at her. But the detector couldn't be wrong. Was it because she lacked in emotions? So even if she was obsessed, there wouldn't be any actual expression? Stop. Masahi's emotionless and pleasant voice sounded. Continue practicing. Play again before the end. Yes. Everyone, including Aoi Ichiki and Asako Hanada, started practicing seriously. Masahi put the bass horn on the chair and walked slowly towards the two people from the Human Observation Department. How do I feel? She seemed to be asking about the level of their performance, but there was no doubt in her tone. Don't worry about the tuba and bass cello. The bass horn part. Rin Kiyono looked around. If you play the solo tomorrow, the chances of entering the Tokyo University competition will be higher. In the small classroom, only the sound of the rain could be heard. Toru Watanabe stood up awkwardly. Sorry, my department's requirements are very strict. She didn't mean that the other people's performance was bad. Rin Kiyono stared at Toru Watanabe, but didn't deny it. She just brushed her long hair over her shoulder. Masahi didn't notice the awkward atmosphere in the small classroom. She nodded and looked at Toru Watanabe. Well, they're all good. Toru Watanabe said perfunctorily. He didn't know if it was because he didn't study acting, but he felt that the other people's eyes were even more unfriendly. Haha. Toru Watanabe smiled awkwardly and pulled up Rin Kiyono, who didn't care about the other people's unwelcome gazes. Sorry for disturbing you today, we'll leave first. Masahi watched Toru Watanabe leave the small classroom and slowly walked back to her seat. She didn't care about the other people's awkward expressions and continued to practice without saying a word. The two people from the Human Observation Department came to the corner of the corridor. Watch where you're going with your words, Mr. Sano. You mean you want me to lie? That's not what I mean. I know you have your own principles, but in that situation, you can just praise tomorrow's senior. Isn't that what I mean? Rin Kiyono sneered. It's been 2 months since school started. Even if they haven't touched a musical instrument before, they're still better than them. That's their problem. Toru Watanabe said helplessly. They decided to aim for the national competition. Not only did they not practice seriously, but they also blamed the person who pointed out their problems? If I were the head of the blowing department, they wouldn't even be able to sleep until they reached a level that I'm satisfied with. It doesn't matter what the blowing department is. I want to ask, is there a requirement for the Human Observation Department? First of all, I have to go to bed before 12 o'clock every day. Rin Kiyono chuckled and praised him. Don't worry, I'm satisfied with your current level, whether it's writing for the arts department or tutoring the students with the lowest deviation. What about in the future? If there's a mission that I can't complete, you won't let me go to bed, right? If that really happened, you would have already started working hard before I started training you, right? Although Rin Kiyono's knowing smile made Toru Watanabe very unhappy, he still nodded. Rin Kiyono smiled proudly and looked at the small classroom of the bass department. She said, it doesn't matter how good you are now. The key is whether you're willing to work hard. If you can't do it yourself, you're blaming the person who pointed out the problem. I take back what I said at the beginning. Including the bass department, except for Senior Masahi, the blowing department is a mob. Toru Watanabe was speechless. He slapped his forehead. Do whatever you want. Rin Kiyono flipped her long hair in satisfaction and walked out of the corner. Let's go back to our activity classroom. Toru Watanabe looked at her elegant back. She had no right to criticize other people's affairs as an unrelated person, but after being asked by Masahi, she honestly spoke her mind. Toru Watanabe laughed at her lack of worldly wisdom, but he also had some longing in his heart. Rin Kiyono was really a mirror. People who weren't prepared to face their true selves shouldn't get close to her. How perfect will my future be if I face all difficulties head-on? Maybe when the time comes, even if I don't do anything, all the women in the world will fight to be my girlfriend. Unfortunately, I already have Miki Kujo. Watanabe-san, have you finally lost your mind to the point where you're talking to yourself? The environment of my family's mental hospital is really... Give up. I won't go even if I die. Chapter 70. At night, Asako Hanada, who was memorizing musical scores in her bedroom, took advantage of her break time to play with her phone. Aoyachiki's Think Tank was a chat group created by a first-year girl from the Blowing Club to pursue a third-year girl. Including her new addition today, there were a total of 4 members. She stared at the name of the group for a while, and was about to exit the chat group to check what her friends had posted today. Suddenly, a message popped up on the screen. Aoyachiki, where are you going this week? Toru Watanabe, it's raining on Saturday and Sunday. Rin Kiyono, then let's do indoor activities like watching a movie or singing. Toru Watanabe, it's raining on Saturday and Sunday. Aoyachiki, then let's sing. We can play Truth or Dare. Toru Watanabe, it's raining on Saturday and Sunday. Aoyachiki, Hanada-senpai, can you help me ask my out? Although Watanabe-sen was very frivolous, and she hated this kind of person the most, it was too difficult for her to leave someone who was ignored alone. Hanada-chouko, Watanabe-san, may I ask why you have to repeat the same thing 3 times? Toru Watanabe, sorry. There was no one else in the bedroom except for Asako Hanada, but her face immediately turned as red as a cooked octopus. She quickly replied online, I'm not blaming you. I'm just curious why you repeated it 3 times. Rin Kiyono, don't worry about him. Toru Watanabe, I want to sleep at home on a rainy day. Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono's messages appeared on the screen at a speed that only the system could distinguish one from the other. Asako Hanada, Watanabe already has a girlfriend, so it's not appropriate for him to keep hanging out with us. Kiyono, let him go. After a long time. Rin Kiyono, alright. Toru Watanabe, Hanada-senpai is the best. Toru Watanabe, in the future, I'll leave the matters outside of school to you guys. When Asako Hanada saw the words Hanada-senpai is awesome, she pouted in dissatisfaction. She was both angry and embarrassed. He already had a girlfriend, yet he still dared to say such things to other girls. He was indeed a frivolous junior. As the saying goes, it's not that you can't ask for it, it's that you can't avoid it. At 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, Toru Watanabe came to school with an umbrella. The reason was simple. The emotionless upperclassmen seemed to have rejected Asako Hanada's suggestion to go out and play because of Rin Kiyono's comments. She decided to continue practicing on Saturdays and Sundays. She didn't ask the other students in the base club to give up their vacation. She only said that if they wanted to come, they could be in charge of coaching. From Toru Watanabe's point of view, Mayasahi's meaning was very clear. She was hinting for the others to hurry up and practice, so that they wouldn't embarrass her anymore. Of course, the words used were different. This was Toru Watanabe's personal opinion. Aoyachiki naturally wouldn't let go of this opportunity. Therefore, after saying, in the future, I'll leave the matters outside of school to you guys, he stepped into the Saturday Kamigawa that he had never been to before. The school building in the rain had a tranquil feeling like he was submerged in the water when he was swimming. Only the loud sound of musical instruments and the crisp sound of a metal bat hitting a baseball could be heard. In order to prepare for the July Koshien qualifiers, the baseball club was still practicing even on Saturdays and rainy days. This was the rosy high school life. Salute to the youth. But they could only salute with their eyes. Toru Watanabe held an umbrella in one hand and held the book, The Shining Stars of Mankind, in the other hand. This was a biography written by Stephen Zweig. It included the critical moments in the lives of literary giants, generals, politicians, and other important figures. The reason why he chose this book instead of a specific person's biography was because Toru Watanabe hadn't decided whether to become a literary giant, a politician, or a general. At the same time, he also wanted to see how people of different identities adjusted their mentality when faced with difficulties, and what kind of decision they made. This could broaden his thinking on how to deal with the Kujo family. Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono met at the shoe cabinet. Their daily routine, at least their arrival time was unexpectedly the same. But since they rode the tram at the same time every day, this wasn't a coincidence. Good morning, Watanabe-san. Good morning. Rin Kiyono's etiquette was actually quite considerate, far surpassing the average person, but her clear eyes that could see through all the lies made her appear unreasonable. On the way to the music classroom, Toru Watanabe expressed his admiration for her perseverance in the rain. In Rin Kiyono's view, this was a rare and ordinary thing. Since you want to go to a certain place, such as Koshien or the national competition, hard work is the most basic requirement. She calmly concluded. Is that so? You don't have to admire them. Rin Kiyono opened the heavy soundproof door of the music classroom. In the classroom, there were not only bass players, but also other vocal groups. The total number of people was about 20. Toru Watanabe discovered that a small half of them were first-year students. Thanks to Rin Kiyono, he could even say each of their names and student numbers. It seems that the problem with the wind instrument department lies with the seniors. While thinking this, Toru Watanabe pulled a chair to the window and sat against the wall. He opened the book, The Shining Stars of Mankind. Toru Watanabe's arrival caused a small commotion in the almost entirely female wind instrument department. He had a slender figure, and his well-proportioned body could be seen through the school uniform shirt. His slender fingers flipped the new pages of the book, coupled with his handsome appearance and his focused expression while reading. In an instant, he firmly captured the hearts of almost all the girls. Because there was no annoying conduct committee member on Saturday, he was lazy and didn't wear a tie, so the girls always pretended to inadvertently want to peek inside. Some of the girls looked at each other. It's great that I decided to come to the special training today. Yes, yes, yes. When Toru Watanabe glanced at the clock on the wall, it was already 43 minutes later. The music classroom was filled with the smell of various shampoo, and the slightly turbid air made him a little sleepy. After he couldn't help but yawn, Toru Watanabe simply stopped flipping the pages, put the book upside down on the chair, and prepared to go to the toilet to clear his head. When he came out of the toilet to wash his hands, Mayasahi was rinsing her mouth by the sink. Toru Watanabe didn't say a word after washing his hands, and prepared to return to the activity classroom to continue reading. Clack! The tissue bag that Mayasahi was about to take out from the pocket of her school skirt fell to the ground. This is the toilet. Luckily there's packaging. Toru Watanabe thought, and took the initiative to bend down and pick up the tissue bag that fell by his feet. Senior, here. At that moment, Toru Watanabe suspected that bending down caused blood to rush to his head, and that he was seeing an illusion. Senior Mayasahi's expression was cold, and her eyes were as clear as summer spring water. At that moment, she was lifting up her school skirt without wearing safety pants. The light blue, provocative underwear was reflected in his eyes. In the female toilet, there were faint voices of people talking, as if one person had finished and was urging another person to do it. As the other person said, "I'll be done soon," Mayasahi's white face was gradually dyed with a strange flush. Finally, her light pink lips and teeth let out a long, muffled groan that would definitely cause misunderstandings. Toru Watanabe could no longer think. Chapter 71. The music classroom was located in the corner of the third floor of the club building, and it had a clear view of the field. Under the rain, the baseball club wasn't training. They were standing in a row with their arms around each other, shouting indecipherable words. It was like a scene of brainwashing employees in a sales company. Toru Watanabe knew nothing about sports clubs, so he couldn't guess what they were shouting about. Maybe they were singing the school song? But it didn't matter. Toru Watanabe retracted his gaze and looked at the northwest corner of the classroom. Mayasahi, who had lifted her skirt and moaned in front of the sink, was sitting there quietly practicing the bass horn. It gave the illusion that she would focus on practicing the song, even if the world ended. No wonder I reminded. Pay attention to self-protection. Be careful of being deceived. The girls at the last minute are all freaks? But this didn't scare Toru Watanabe. In fact, it wasn't bad. It wasn't just not bad. For a normal first-year boy, a third-year senior who was like a big sister suddenly lifted her skirt in front of him. No matter how he thought about it, he wouldn't lose anything. If it wasn't for Miki Kujo, Toru Watanabe would also look at it with a happy attitude. He wasn't the male lead of an anime. Although he had strong self-control, he would never waste any of it on such things. Unfortunately, I already have Miki Kujo, Toru Watanabe whispered again. He retracted his gaze and looked at Asako Hanada, who was sitting behind the bass cello. This petite and cute girl also had a side that others didn't know about. There was only one use of detector left. Toru Watanabe hesitated for 2 seconds before deciding to use it. In his heart, he still had the wishful thinking of conquering 2 girls at the same time. After all, master level shooting and surpassing level recovery both had the same temptation of master level and surpassing level. Especially now, when he was spoiled by Kujio Miyoshi to the point of being in a complete mess. Character: Asako Hanada, age 16, intelligence, 6 charm, 8 stamina, 8 intelligence, suffers from misophobia in relationships. He can get her with a forceful kiss. Of course, there is also the risk of being killed. No relationship record can be conquered. Toru Watanabe was slightly surprised by his 8 points of stamina. With 8 points of charm, it was undeniably a good look. It would not be a problem for her to debut as an idol. Similarly, with 8 points of stamina, it would definitely be extraordinary. However, he was still no match for master-level kickboxing. The premise was that the other party did not master any fighting techniques above proficient level. As for the emotional misophobia, mentioned in the report, it felt like another Miki Kujo. However, the two of them were only similar in appearance. In reality, there was a fundamental difference. For example, Toru Watanabe could let go of his hatred and be loyal to Miki Kujo, but if she was in a bad mood, she could kill him at any time, because there was no such thing as breaking up. As for Asako Hanada, who also didn't allow breakups, her obsession with emotional cleanliness made her restrict her boyfriend in all aspects while also restricting herself. As for the forced kiss, it was nothing more than a further explanation of emotional misophobia. It didn't have much significance. Like Mayasahi, it was free of charge. Moreover, it wasn't direct physical contact, mainly because he was worried that the other party's body had problems. He didn't resist at all, but as a person, there must be a bottom line. He would never do something like forcing a kiss on a girl. Toru Watanabe's eyes swept across the book line by line, but he didn't remember the contents of the book at all. His brain was constantly analyzing all kinds of information. Soon it was noon. The base section members decided to go to the family restaurant near the school for lunch. Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono also followed. "What did you do this morning?" On the way, Toru Watanabe, who was at the back, whispered to Rin Kiyono. "I guided Itsuki classmate in playing the instrument." "You guys really practiced?" Improving the performance level is also one of the attempts to improve the favorability. But you? Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe with dissatisfaction. "The whole time, you just sat there reading and did nothing." "Last time, because we went to the haunted house together, Miki had to rush back on the same day and then go abroad the next day. It was very tiring. I'm someone who loves my girlfriend. Why do you have to tell this kind of lie that will be exposed in a second?" Rin Kiyono couldn't stand it anymore and rubbed her temples. "This has nothing to do with the lie, right? Obviously, as long as it's a lie, you can expose it in a second. You should change your habit of lying so easily." "No need, I feel very good now." "Is that so?" Rin Kiyono nodded indifferently. Until they entered the family restaurant, she didn't say another word. As soon as he saw the door of the restaurant, Toru Watanabe thought of Yoshimi Tamamo. A month ago, at the end of April, it was in the beverage section of this restaurant that he confessed to her. He gave her 150,000 yuan in exchange for her to be his girlfriend for a month. If he didn't go to Imperial Tea to save Miki Kujo, perhaps she would still be his girlfriend. "Welcome." The waiter led the group of 7 to a long table in the corner. Because of the school's frequent gatherings, the number of long tables in this family restaurant far exceeded that of a normal family restaurant. What does this phenomenon reflect? The market determines the allocation of resources. Toru Watanabe answered his own question in his mind, and gave himself a perfect score. However, during the midterm exam, he already got a perfect score in social studies, so it wasn't a big deal. "I'll sit here. I like to sit in the innermost part." "You're so annoying. I also like to sit in the innermost part. Let's play rock, paper, scissors." Toru Watanabe purposely waited for the members of the performance club to be seated before he sat down in a corner far away from them. In the end, Rin Kiyono sat diagonally across from him. It was also a lonely seat. After ordering the set meal, the girls started gossiping with each other. Some of them even talked about where they were going to play after the afternoon training. Rin Kiyono and Masahi were the closest to Toru Watanabe. One was diagonally across from the left, while the other was diagonally across from the right. There was an empty seat between them. The three of them sat in a triangular formation. Rin Kiyono ate her soba noodles seriously. Toru Watanabe read his book while eating fried pork chop rice. Masahi, who was also eating noodles, participated in the girls' conversation as a listener. Clack. Toru Watanabe looked down from his book and looked at the chopsticks by his feet. Watanabe classmate, please help me pick them up. Okay, tomorrow, senpai. Toru Watanabe bent down and looked over. Sure enough, Masahi's legs were wide open. Not only that, she also handed over a pen. The pen cap was already open. On the inside of her right leg, there was a word written. Right here. Wow, police uncle, there's a crazy girl here. Toru Watanabe took the pen with his left hand and wrote on the delicate skin of her inner thigh with an unrecognizable handwriting frowny face positive. The word meat is too long. He picked up the chopsticks and handed it to Masahi with a normal expression. Thank you. Masahi took it expressionlessly, then wrapped it in a tissue and put it aside. She used the spare chopsticks. On and off the table, there were two completely different people. Toru Watanabe put the pen in his pocket and looked at Rin Kiyono with a guilty conscience. She was focused on eating her noodles. Occasionally, she would frown cutely as if saying, the taste is not good. Senpai, your face is so red. Are you okay? Aoi Ichiki asked with concern. I'm fine. I just added some spice. It looks very spicy. Do you want me to pour you a drink? No, haha. Masahi's face was red as she panted softly. Can this kind of thing be repeated? Or is it delayed? Chapter 72. Ugh, on the third floor of the club building, in the men's washroom closest to the music club's activity room. Wrong. With her hands on the front wall and her school skirt around her waist, Asami's back to Toru Watanabe frowned slightly in pain and said, More, it's even lower. She reached out her hand to help. Toru Watanabe's eyes followed the pair of fair, slender hands as he slowly looked down. The word Jung was written all over her round, white butt. Wait, I should have only written one, and I even wrote it with my left hand on purpose. The word Jung seemed to have been typed out by a computer. It was unnaturally neat, just like Toru Watanabe's usual writing style. It's over, I've left evidence behind. Miki Kujo is going to catch me. As soon as the thought came to his mind, he felt a sharp pain in his lower body. The girl waiting in front of him had turned into Miki Kujo's cruel smile. She gripped Toru Watanabe's lower body tighter and tighter. No, it's going to explode. Without thinking too much, Toru Watanabe grabbed her hand and flung it away. The sun squeezed in through the gaps in the curtains. The blanket was thrown to the corner of the wall. Before Toru Watanabe could clear his thoughts, a strong urge to pee made him jump out of bed. After using the washroom, Toru Watanabe squeezed out some toothpaste and brushed his teeth in front of the mirror. Only then did he start to think about what had just happened. So it was a dream. I should have drank less water last night. On the tram to school, every time the tram shook, Toru Watanabe yawned. Through the transparent window, he could see the blue sky. It was a rare sunny day in the rain. Because he was really sleepy, Toru Watanabe called Miki Kujo. The phone rang a few times before it was picked up. What time do you think it is? Miki Kujo was woken up by someone. Her voice was filled with murderous intent. He must have just fallen asleep, Toru Watanabe thought. Because of the phone call and the fact that his mind was not clear in the morning, he was not as careful as he usually was. I'm sorry, he said. I don't know why I missed you so much this morning that I couldn't help calling you. Do. The call was unceremoniously hung up. Toru Watanabe yawned and put his phone back into his pocket. He continued to look at the clear sky outside the car window, as if he was about to fall asleep. He got off the bus at the Four Valleys station. With the arrival of summer, he suddenly felt that a rainy day was actually not bad. The morning passed quickly, and it was time for the last class. Because it was PE class, Toru Watanabe, Osamu Kanai, and Keisuke Saito went to the locker room with their sportswear. The members of the wind department are also practicing on Saturday. I heard Itsuki classmate and Hanada-senpai's voices. Osamu Kanai said as he changed his clothes. Is that true? Was there a beautiful encounter? Keisuke Saito asked. The baseball department is busy with training. How could that be possible? But when I think about being able to stay at school with Itsuki classmate and Hanada-senpai on Saturday, I feel full of energy. Didn't you get Itsuki classmate's contact information when you went to the amusement park last time? Did you chat with him? I tried to chat a little. Itsuki classmate is very cheerful, and is also very interested in the recent shooting games. Toru Watanabe took the lead in changing his clothes and patted Osamu Kanai's shoulder heavily. Watanabe. What's wrong? Good luck, Koshien. Osamu Kanai looked at Toru Watanabe's back as he left the locker room and said to Keisuke Saito. What did that guy say? He said good luck, Koshien. Of course I know. What I mean is, why do you look like I have no hope? You actually think you have hope? Zaita the physical education class was held by Class 1 and Class 4. Originally, if it rained today, we planned to play basketball in the gym for boys and volleyball for girls. But since it's sunny today, we'll go out and practice badminton. After the physical education teacher said this, he asked the physical education committee members of the two classes to give out the rackets. Everyone quarreled and wanted the rackets that looked good. The physical education committee member of Class 4 was Osamu Kanai. Toru Watanabe and Keisuke Saito naturally got the best rackets and brand new badminton. Toru Watanabe spun the rackets and once again confirmed that this was indeed a society where relationships were everywhere. After the physical education teacher reprimanded the boy who disregarded the formation and started to throw the ball, he asked everyone to put the rackets and badminton aside and do warm-up exercises first. After the warm-up exercises, he called Osamu Kanai over, and the two of them demonstrated badminton skills. Everyone form a team. In the last 30 minutes, the two classes will compete. Begin. For those who did not have any friends, forming their own teams was so awkward that they wanted to die. Toru Watanabe and the other two naturally formed a team. The loser will be the substitute. Keisuke Saito and Osamu Kanai will start first, and Toru Watanabe will be the referee. Osamu Kanai started first. Saito, I don't want to kill you. You mean you can win at any time? Keisuke Saito was ready. For the village, even if it's you, I will kill you. Zaita Kojui jump smash. Kojui shouted the name of a move that was not even considered a move. Kojui, Saito rebound. An insignificant badminton battle began. What attracted the most attention on the court wasn't their Chinibyu battle. Instead, it was Seino Rin, who could be called a sports goddess just by holding a badminton racket, and Tamamo Tami, whose figure was so good that she could be a model. Whoa. Hey. Annoying. Why do you have to play so far? Yoshimi Tamamo, whether it was her voice, her full breasts, or the way she bent down to pick up the ball, she was full of youthfulness. Rin Kiyono, on the other hand, was the devil. The girls who took the initiative to practice with her were completely turned into serving machines and tools. This situation continued until Uchiha Saito was defeated and Toru Watanabe went on the court. Just like Rin Kiyono, who was a sports goddess, Toru Watanabe stood there like a spotlight. The girls in the two classes looked at him intentionally or unintentionally, and some of the more lively girls directly shouted, Watanabe, Watanabe. With someone taking the lead, the girls shouted as if they were jeering. Watanabe, Watanabe. Toru Watanabe waved his hand to thank them. The only thing missing was comrades, you have worked hard. Damn, Amir Kakuza dares to be so presumptuous. Osamu Kanai stared at Toru Watanabe fiercely. Hey, no matter what, it can't be Kakuzu, right? Toru Watanabe was speechless. Humph, I'm going to beat you with one ball. Oh. Toru Watanabe laughed. Watanabe, I'm not the same person as before. Now I'll stand at the top. As a member of the PE committee, even though Guo Jingxiu specialized in baseball, his high motor skills and sharp visual reflexes made him worthy of the title of Thousand Hands Guojing in class for even when it came to badminton. The previous Toru Watanabe could only pick up the ball. But every day he persisted in morning running, doing radio gymnastics, doing push-ups, swimming, and so on. Coupled with his master-level kickboxing reaction, even if it was Kakuzu, he would still beat Hashirama. The game of badminton was back and forth. Osamu Kanai was using smash, smash, and smash. The speed of the balls was quite fast. If it was the previous Toru Watanabe, he would not be able to catch a single one. Toru Watanabe accurately hit the balls back one by one. And at the same time, he chose an angle that could only be caught by the left swing of the racket. After a few balls, Toru Watanabe figured out the pattern, and the angle became more and more tricky. You still have a long way to go, Watanabe. Contrary to the domineering slogan, the badminton was hit back as if it could not pass the net. Moreover, it was hit to the left of the net. Osamu Kanai stood behind, ready to slam dunk at any time. When he ran over, he was not used to the racket swinging posture, but it was too late. Defeat. Toru Watanabe put the racket on his shoulder, put his left hand in his pocket, and posed a pose that could be used as a magazine cover. Wow. Watanabe, Watanabe. The girls gave him face and applauded. Happy times always pass quickly. During the 30 minutes of free practice, he caught a few balls and chatted with his friends about which girl looked good in sportswear. Time passed quickly. The PE teacher chose the best badminton player from each class based on his observation. Class 1 representative, Rin Kiyono. Yes. As long as it was not a physical exercise, Rin Kiyono would be chosen. Class 4 representative, Toru Watanabe. Yes. After being ridiculed in PE class for years, and being lapped by girls during long-distance running, he finally reached this step. Hard work will not lie. On the badminton court, the students of Class 1 sat on the left, and Class 4 sat on the right. Toru Watanabe felt that compared to a badminton game, it was more like a taekwondo competition. Everyone was sitting on the ground and watching. Watanabe, beat Class 1. Kiyono classmate, do your best. Are these people watching the TV broadcast? This is just a friendly match. Fine, Rin Kiyono sneered contemptuously. She did not seem like someone who prioritizes friendship over competition. However, Toru Watanabe was not like that either. Other than revenge, defeating Rin Kiyono was also one of his biggest motivations. Kiyono classmate, let's start with badminton. I'll let you experience the feeling of defeat. Is that so? Rin Kiyono replied indifferently. I just used Osamu Kanai's habit of swinging the ball to the right and his lack of intelligence to win by luck. I admire your optimism. Watanabe, do your best. We are invincible in front of you. Kill her, humiliate. Ugh. Yes, Kanai, I understand your unwillingness. But why were you frightened by the look in his eyes when you were shouting halfway? Can you learn from me to be a man with backbone? Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono. Let's start the game. Rin Kiyono did not understand what Toru Watanabe was saying, so she simply started to serve. Rin Kiyono's penalty shooting skills were enough to participate in the All Japan Junior Championship. However, diagonal, diagonal, hook diagonal. Looking at Rin Kiyono running around the court, Toru Watanabe smiled. This is my ninja way, Kiyono classmate. Rin Kiyono was panting and was too tired to speak. She tried her best to recover her strength. Her eyes were fixed on Toru Watanabe's racket. The surrounding boys booed, thinking that Toru Watanabe was bullying a girl with his physical strength. Of course, there were some boys who were sincerely grateful to Toru Watanabe when they saw Rin Kiyono running around the court with her black hair fluttering in the wind. However, it did not matter what these people thought. Toru Watanabe was already able to ignore what his classmates thought of him. The score is 10-8 last ball. The PE teacher set the rule that the first person to score 11 points would win. Qin Yi-rin's points were taken almost immediately at the beginning of the competition. After his stamina ran out, Toru Watanabe overtook him by 2 points. Toru Watanabe had once run on the track together with Keanu Rin at a speed not much faster than that of a tortoise, so he knew exactly where Keanu Rin's limit was with only 3 points of stamina. Kiyono-san, Toru Watanabe's eyes were burning like a torch. I have reached the other side. Although this line was inauspicious, it was very appropriate. Uchiha Madara couldn't win, but Toru Watanabe could. Bang! The shuttlecock rushed to the sky at 2:20 in the afternoon. Rin Kiyono was concentrating, constantly predicting where the ball would land, sometimes left, sometimes right. After a few rounds, she finally lost control of her feet, due to exhaustion, and fell on the court. Dubien. The whole class stood up and rushed to Toru Watanabe. In terms of skill sports, the class has never won against the class. Don't touch me. Wait, boys are fine, but why are there girls? Many girls took the opportunity to pinch Toru Watanabe's shoulders and arms. They didn't know whether they would be scolded by Miki Kujo or not. Unlike the bustling Class 4, Class 1 seemed listless. Some girls went to help Rin Kiyono, but she shook her head and refused. After the game, the PE teacher announced the end of the class, and everyone returned to the classroom. Because it was the last class, Toru Watanabe was too lazy to change back to his school uniform, so he wore his sportswear and went directly to the club activities. On the way to the club building, he saw Rin Kiyono and was about to go up and show off a few words, but he saw her going downstairs. The first year of high school was on the 3rd floor, which corresponded to the 3rd floor of the club building, while the human observation department was on the 5th floor. Why did she go downstairs? Toru Watanabe was curious and wanted to show off, so he followed her. Where are we going? He asked. The infirmary. Toru Watanabe froze, looked down at Rin Kiyono's knee under her sweatpants. Are you injured? Yeah. I'm sorry. Rin Kiyono said indifferently. It has nothing to do with you. Being injured on the court only shows that I'm not good enough. Toru Watanabe looked at her side profile. Are you angry? Yes. Then why did you say it has nothing to do with me? The reason I'm angry is not because I lost. Then what's the reason? Kiyono stopped, sighed, and looked at the stairs. I'm angry at myself. In terms of skills, 10 of me can't compare to you. As long as you work on your fitness, you can definitely beat me. Toru Watanabe comforted. He thought, if Rin Kiyono works on her fitness, I'll work on my skills, and I'll be the one to win. Rin Kiyono's answer surprised him. It has nothing to do with badminton. Toru Watanabe was confused. Then I really can't guess why you're angry. Are you serious? Rin Kiyono asked him directly without looking at Toru Watanabe. Yeah. Think about Saturday. After saying that, she walked toward the infirmary. Toru Watanabe followed behind her, guessing the reason. Could it be that she found out that he wrote the word, Zhang, on Masahi's leg? As a woman, it was reasonable for her to be angry at a man who did such a thing. He thought that he could still maintain his rationality in front of a beauty. In order not to be found out, he only used the shortest time to write the word Zhang. And he deliberately used his left hand. So Rin Kiyono frowned not because the noodles were not delicious, but because she wanted him to see? All of this was Toru Watanabe's guess. Why Rin Kiyono was angry? It could be for other reasons. When a woman is angry, it's impossible to guess. Toru Watanabe thought of a sentence in the book, On the Heart of a Young Girl. In the infirmary, Miyazaki-sensei, who could act as a prostitute, was checking the medicine. What's wrong? She asked the two of them. Sensei, I hurt my knee in PE class. Please help me disinfect it. Rin Kiyono replied politely. Oh, sit there. Miyazaki-sensei pointed at the stool in front of the table. Yes. Miyazaki-sensei took out the medicine from the cupboard. What about you? What are you doing here? The boy that Aonai likes the most. Boy. Forget it. I'm responsible for her knee injury. Besides, she's the head of the club. I came with her. Miyazaki-sensei made a meaningful sound. Two gentle children are all playboys. Are you talking about me? I'm talking about whoever answered. Rin Kiyono covered her mouth with her slender fingers and chuckled. Miyazaki-sensei squatted in front of Rin Kiyono and told her to roll up her sweatpants while she opened the medicine bottle. Toru Watanabe looked at her without moving, wanting to know how badly her knee was injured. Rin Kiyono usually wore skirts most of the time. Logically speaking, the area below her thighs should be completely unattractive. But as he watched her slowly roll up her sweatpants, revealing her snow-white and smooth calves, Toru Watanabe truly felt. Every part that made up Rin Kiyono's body was breathtakingly beautiful. Just as he was engrossed in watching, Miyazaki-sensei said while cleaning her wound, "Boy, come back to your senses." Rin Kiyono's gaze followed closely, causing Toru Watanabe to awkwardly look away. "I thought you've seen enough," she said with a chuckle. "Don't say such misunderstood words. I'll tell Aonai about what happened today." "Miyazaki-sensei, please don't say such misunderstood words." Chapter 73. As long as it was an outstanding high school band, there would be regular concerts. If the band is good enough to enter the national competition, they can even collect tickets. Band members with no achievements can also participate in regular concerts, but even if it's free, no one will come to listen. At the beginning of the new semester, the higher-ups of Shinchuan High School's wind instrument department probably didn't want their high school life to end so peacefully. Participate in the Tokyo University tournament. Not only did they shout such a slogan, but they also took practical action. They strengthened their training and actively signed up for regular concerts. Then at the first regular concert, they were criticized. And it was a very negative comment. According to Asako Hanada, after she went back home, she didn't move from her bed for the whole day, and it was such a negative comment. As long as we have happy memories with our level, no matter how much we practice, we can't enter the Tokyo University tournament. Don't know who said it first, but more and more people agreed. So, entering the Tokyo University tournament became a meaningless slogan written on the blackboard. It didn't matter if they gave up or not, but they had signed up for the regular concert in a moment of hot-bloodedness. They still had to perform as promised. Near Shangqi University, there is a concert hall called Kioi Hall. Take the tram from Shiya Station, get off at Tsuding-gocho, and walk 500 meters. Kamikawa High School Band's regular concerts are held in this concert hall. On Saturday it's drizzling. Toru Watanabe, holding a transparent umbrella, is standing at the ticket gate of Shiya Station. Today is also the Human Observation Department's club activity. To listen to Aoi Ichiki's love story, go to the band's concert. Toru Watanabe doesn't know the connection between these two events. But yesterday before school, Rin Kiyono used a gentle tone and ordered him to absolutely come. Because there are too many things that can be used against him, he can only obediently participate. But listening to music in a concert hall on a rainy day is also a good way to pass the time. If he can't understand, he can just sleep. As he stared at the raindrops in a daze, he heard familiar footsteps behind him. He could feel a strong sense of self-awareness from the melody. The whole world is waiting for me. Toru Watanabe turned around in disbelief. Miki Kujo stood there wearing a vintage light blue blouse and a white high-waisted skirt. My Miki is still on the other side of the ocean. I must be hallucinating because I miss her too much. Miki Kujo narrowed her eyes slightly. The rain that filled the air immediately changed from refreshing to sticky and oppressive. Of course, this was just an exaggeration. The only thing that changed was Toru Watanabe's mood. Where are you going? She crossed her arms and sneered. This. Toru Watanabe hesitated for a second and decided to confess. He told her everything about his interactions with the girls during this period. Where they met, what they said, and how far away they were from each other. Of course, he would not mention that my Asahi was a pervert. If he were to confess to that extent, it wouldn't be confessing, but rather, he would be asking for death. As for the dream in the morning, Miki Kujo was the only woman that appeared in it. After listening to him, Miki Kujo looked at Toru Watanabe meaningfully. My Watanabe, you seem to have a good relationship with Rin Kiyono. That's not true. At most, we can be considered acquaintances. Didn't I just say that I severely humiliated her in PE class? Then why did you follow her into the infirmary? Miki Kujio walked into Toru Watanabe's umbrella and inserted her slender right leg between his legs. Why did you follow her into the infirmary? Miki Kujio's soft and delicate hand gently rested on Toru Watanabe's shoulder. Such an ambiguous position attracted a lot of jealous gazes from the bus station. But they didn't know that Miki Kujio's position made her right leg kick more powerful. Toru Watanabe didn't dare to move. Of course, it was easy to subdue Miki Kujio in his arms, but what about after that? A battle royale at Shifuku Station? Miki Kujio looked at the speechless Toru Watanabe, suddenly smiled happily, and then lightly left Toru Watanabe. Look at you, you're so cute. She patted Toru Watanabe's chest. Let's go. Toru Watanabe breathed a sigh of relief. Where are we going? Aren't you going to the concert? I'm free today, so I'll do my duty as your girlfriend and accompany you. Really? Miki, you're so cute. Toru Watanabe reached out and held Miki Kujio's hand. I really want to take you home during the summer vacation. You want me to meet your parents? No, it's mainly because I want to tie you up and hide you in the locker when I think about not seeing you for more than a month during the summer vacation. That's a good idea. Next time when I go abroad, I'll also hide you in my luggage. Toru Watanabe changed the topic. Have you finished your work? No. Miki Kujio turned to look at him and said with a smile. You pitifully called me and said you missed me, so I came back to see you. Miki, I love you. Toru Watanabe's eyes were filled with tears. Hee good boy. The two walked side by side, hand in hand, as if they were a real couple. They talked and laughed as they got on the tram to the concert hall. Latest human observation report. Like the sun, the light of the stars comes from the distant past. The things that humans experience now are in fact predestined long ago. What Deputy Minister Toru Watanabe meant was, when you're not thinking clearly, don't make random calls. Even if you call, don't say that you miss you. There were many people who came to listen to music for free during the weekend. Some were families, and some were couples who were holding hands like them. When they went in, Toru Watanabe helped Miki Kujio open the glass door. After Miki Kujio passed, he saw a woman holding a baby behind her, so he held the door and waited for her to pass. Thank you. The woman nodded at him. However, this action made Miki Kujio mercilessly step on him. Toru Watanabe pointed at the woman's back and said after a while. She already has a child and is a mother. Can't I help her? No. No woman under 60 years old. If I see you opening the door for a woman again, I won't just step on your feet. Miki Kujio looked at Toru Watanabe's face. It was obvious where she would step on next. Perhaps for some people with special interests, it was not too much to call her punishment a reward. Unfortunately, Toru Watanabe was not. Either way, can you take your feet away first? I thought you liked being stepped on by me. You don't like it? Actually, it's too comfortable. If we continue like this, I'm afraid I won't be able to help but make strange sounds. Miki Kujio was interested and said, But if we do this here, won't we embarrass the Kujio family? Let's do it secretly. You're getting better at talking. Miki Kujio finally calmed down. Satisfied, she removed her feet from Toru Watanabe's sneakers. Chapter 74. Because he was scolded on the way here, when he entered the concert hall, there were already other high school students on the stage. Toru Watanabe looked at the audience. There were only a few dozen people in the seats that could seat more than 500 people. Where are we sitting? He asked Miki Kujio. In front. Miki Kujio walked to the front row and sat on the chair in the middle. Her expression and actions as she crossed her legs and waited for the performance to begin were indeed worthy of the title of Miss Kujio. It was as if this was a concert prepared for her alone. But with her status, it was too easy for her to reserve the entire concert. The ones who should feel honored today should be the high school students. After all, the symphony orchestra that they worship and learn from may not be qualified to play for Miki Kujio. Toru Watanabe sat on the left side of Miki Kujio. On the right side of the first row, Rin Kiyono sat alone in the corner. The two girls' personalities, from the choice of seats, can be seen. Not long after they sat down, The MC came on stage. The concert will now begin. Please keep quiet, still photography and running. If there is an earthquake, you can take shelter here. Then, the first song will be played by Futaba Junior High School students. Double Leaf Academy was also a small junior high school near Four Valley Station. However, its deviation rate was moderate, so it wasn't influenced by Shinchuan and the other two schools. This group of students is young, but their performance is not to be underestimated. The song is very similar to Twinkle Little Star, but it is not used for basic practice. The short length is simple, the one that is easy for newcomers to learn. Amano Mazamichi's Twinkle Little Star variations. Miki Kujo with a lazy expression explained, there is a melody of Twinkle Little Star, but the first half is quiet and melodious, the second half is full of momentum. Their performance is still far from it. Be more tolerant of the children. Since we are standing on stage, naturally everything will be based on the performance. If I go out to do business with others, will they tell me the lowest condition in their heart just because I'm young? That's true, but this isn't a competition and it doesn't involve money. It's just a concert that doesn't require tickets, Toru Watanabe said. Miki Kujo turned to look at him and said, "You want to reason with me?" Toru Watanabe stopped talking and reached out to hold her little hand. He signaled her to continue listening with a "you have the final say" expression. Kujio Miyoshi looked at her hand that was being held. She sneered and let him hold her hand as he wished. After the two songs ended, Toru Watanabe began to feel sleepy and felt that it was about time to sleep. Just as he was about to say goodbye to Miki Kujo and go to bed, a heavy object pressed down on his shoulder. Toru Watanabe turned his head and saw that Miki Kujo had already fallen asleep. Even the young mistress can't enjoy the concert? Toru Watanabe saw the faint dark circles under Miki Kujo's eyes and denied his own thoughts. She probably hadn't adjusted to the time difference. He hesitated for a moment, thinking that it would be easier for her to adjust to the time difference. Should he wake her up? Or should he continue to let her sleep? It wouldn't be wrong if he didn't do it. Let her continue to sleep. Toru Watanabe controlled his body to not move and yawned. One song after another, they finally arrived at Kanagawa High School. The next song will be performed by the music department of the private school Kanagawa High School. After the MC announced the performance, Toru Watanabe pulled himself together. For a moment, his eardrums were filled with music that was so discordant that he couldn't listen to it. The rhythm was discordant, and the beat was a mess. The movements of the baton and the sound of the instruments couldn't match at all. Even a layman like Toru Watanabe felt that it didn't seem to work. He looked towards the corner. Rin Kiyono, who had been paying attention since the beginning of the concert, was staring at the stage with an ugly expression. There was a slight discussion behind him, followed by mockery. The music gradually progressed until only the tambourine and brass were left. The two sounds were like enemies who were tit for tat, determined to make each other play worse. Toru Watanabe noticed that Miki Kujo, who was sleeping, began to frown. It's over. It's going to be bad and wake her up. But as the baton fell, the music became beautiful and smooth again. It was a beautiful note unique to the bass horn. Toru Watanabe looked at Mayasahi, who was focused on playing on the stage. There were more than 50 people on the stage, but she was sitting in the middle of the crowd, expressionless, but she became the only focus. She was like a lotus flower. Then Toru Watanabe remembered that the lotus flower in front of him was cold and arrogant. Mayasahi, who was eye-catching. He once wrote the word Jung on the inside of her beautiful legs under her school skirt. His heart couldn't help but throb inexplicably, and his breathing became difficult. Just as Toru Watanabe was recalling the feeling of the pen pressing down on his skin, the sound of drums suddenly sounded. Then, like a mouse that saw a cat, it disappeared without a trace. Did they steal the show? This time, Miki Kujo finally opened her eyes because of the terrible music. She yawned lazily. Which high school is that on the stage? Toru Watanabe glanced at the nearby audience who were watching the show on the stage. He didn't use the words "our school" and said Kamigawa. Miki Kujo snorted contemptuously. She didn't even bother to comment. It could be said that they were extremely bad. Since the beginning of the drumming, Almost all the members of the Kamigawa High School band had turned pale. No wonder they gave up on training. Now it seems that they were even worse than junior high school students. Forget about the Tokyo University tournament. They couldn't even fool the outsiders at their own school festival. Miki Kujo's eyes were half closed. How dare you bring me to such a boring concert? Didn't you come with me? Toru Watanabe could only think of this in his heart. Next time, I'll ask around in advance and find the perfect concert. Miki Kujo supported her temples with one hand and tapped the armrest with the other. I want you to play for me. I don't know how to play. What does it have to do with me? Miki Kujo asked with a smile. Well, if you want to hear it, Miki, I'm willing to learn. Miki Kujo's lips curled up. July, my business abroad will be over. At that time, you must reach a level that satisfies me. Huh? There's less than half a month left. Isn't that too short? Didn't you say that you're smart and never slack off? Don't tell me. Miki Kujo suddenly leaned in. Their slender eyelashes were almost touching. Are you lying to me? No. Why would I lie to you? July, I promise you'll be satisfied. After the concert ended, Toru Watanabe didn't fall asleep. Instead, he was startled. Moreover, he had to postpone learning Spanish. Although he had the privilege of exchanging 5,000 points for a master piano, he wanted to save as much as possible. He wanted to try his best. When the time came and Miki Kujo said that she wasn't satisfied, he could exchange it on the spot. If possible, he didn't want to waste his points on such things. Could playing the piano save lives? Of course not. When he left the venue, the black limousine was parked in front of the door. Miki Kujo yawned and walked towards the car. I'm bored. I'll go back first. Give me a ride. Since he was temporarily safe, Toru Watanabe thought that it would be a waste not to take advantage of the situation. Moreover, acting too formal was not in line with his knowledge from how to woo rich ladies. Go back by yourself. Don't be so stingy. Do you think I'm so free that I can be your chauffeur? Miki Kujo glanced at him with a terrifying gaze. Well, see you next time. Toru Watanabe didn't insist and watched her get into the car. Watanabe-san, are you free later? I have something to discuss with you. Rin Kiyono frowned as she walked out of the venue. Behind her were the bass players who were holding their instruments. I'm fine. Toru Watanabe turned around and responded. I changed my mind. Miki Kujo's voice came from behind. You get in the car. Chapter 75. Toru Watanabe awkwardly nodded at Seino Rin and obediently got into the car. The bass club members all looked at him strangely. The luxury car drove away from the concert hall. Inside the car, Miki Kujo held onto the armrest and grinned. How dare you accept other women's invitation in front of me? How should I punish you? That kind of invitation has nothing to do with gender, right? They're not girls. Of course they are. Throw him out. Shizuru seemed to have been waiting for this sentence. As soon as Miki Kujo finished, she grabbed Toru Watanabe's shoulder and opened the right door with her other hand. The drizzle from the outside came in, and the mist stuck to Toru Watanabe's face. Wait. The car was so fast that the trees on both sides of the road could not be seen clearly. If he was thrown out, Toru Watanabe's blood would draw a line of at least 10 meters long on the road. He slapped Shizuru's hand away and jumped nimbly. He sat beside Miki Kujo and away from Shizuru, guarding against her like an eagle catching a chick. In my heart, you're the only woman, Miki. The others are all men. Is that so? Miki Kujo smiled and looked at Toru Watanabe, who was hiding behind her. It's because of this that I agreed to their invitation. Otherwise, why would I be with other girls when I already have a girlfriend? I don't see them as women at all. Miki Kujo smiled mockingly. I'm not lying to you. Toru Watanabe promised. Forget it. Miss Kujiyo retracted her gaze and closed her eyes as if she couldn't be bothered to argue. The door was closed and the rain was blocked out again. Toru Watanabe breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. Under Jinglio's unwilling gaze, he slowly sat back down. Being together with Miki Kujo was like being a live target for an archer. There was never a moment when he wasn't worried that he would be shot the next moment. especially when she had a subordinate who couldn't wait to kill him. The car drove for a long time, with no intention of sending Toru Watanabe home. Finally, it stopped in front of a building. President. As soon as he got out of the car, a large group of people stood in a row. Their aura was even more exaggerated than in television dramas. However, Toru Watanabe couldn't tell if it was the company's culture or Miki Kujo's aura. When he participated in the part-time training at the convenience store, he was also instructed by the person in charge to stand straight and bow when he saw the class leader. His work pass also had to face the class leader, so that the class leader could know his name. In front of so many people, Miki Kujo yawned and walked toward the elevator. Jinglu followed her closely without looking sideways. Toru Watanabe thought about it, and decided to stay 2 steps behind Shizuru and follow behind them. President, thank you for your hard work. A man in his 50s walked out of the bowing line with his back bent. He was even further away than Toru Watanabe when he spoke to Miki Kujo. Inform all departments to have a meeting in half an hour. Prepare the business for this period. I want to listen to them one by one. Yes. Tell the legal department to get ready. They will go out with me tomorrow. Yes. Miki Kujo gave a few orders and walked into her exclusive elevator. Seeing that Jinglu and the man in his 50s didn't go in, Toru Watanabe also stood outside the elevator and watched the elevator door close. As soon as Miki Kujo left, the heavy atmosphere that seemed to have stopped raining slowly became lively again. The man in his 50s said to Jinglu, "Miss Jinglu, thank you for protecting the young lady." Jinglu nodded. The man was used to her indifference and didn't care. He looked at Toru Watanabe and asked, "This is?" Jinglu glanced at him and said, "Bodyguard." Bodyguard? The man was stunned and confirmed with surprise. "Young lady's bodyguard? Do I still need a bodyguard?" "No, you don't. But he just got out of the car. Is he a male bodyguard?" The man looked at Toru Watanabe. His body was well proportioned, but his face was full of youthfulness. He gave people the feeling that any adult man could easily beat him. But he was too handsome. Could it be that the young lady? No, it was absolutely impossible. How could the young lady do that kind of thing? Part-time, part-time. Toru Watanabe politely greeted but didn't say his name. Part-time. The man was stunned and then nodded. "I'll go do something first." After the man left, Jinglu turned and entered another elevator. Toru Watanabe quickly followed. "Where are we going?" he asked. "When can I go back?" "Are you not feeling well?" "Okay." Toru Watanabe stared at the red light on the floor screen and watched the number slowly increase. After the elevator stopped, the two came to the 25th floor. It was almost full of fitness equipment. Sandbags, treadmills, swimming pools, rings, and so on. Everything was available. The space was as big as the school field. Only 2 people were using it. One of them was punching and kicking the sandbag, making very loud banging sounds. Toru Watanabe estimated that a casual hit could break a person's bones. The second person was using a sitting chest thruster. Although the speed was not fast, it was very stable. The muscles all over his body rose and fell like the waves. Toru Watanabe glanced at them and followed Jinglu into a room. "Where are we going? Why did you suddenly take off your clothes?" Toru Watanabe quickly ran out and looked back. The door sign said Jinglu. "Exclusive locker room? Then tell me, are you trying to frame me and make Miki Kujo angry again? The human heart is scary." Toru Watanabe sighed and looked at the equipment casually. He had seen a lot of equipment in the gym where he had a swimming card, but most of the equipment here was the first time he saw it. Toru Watanabe walked near the sandbag and watched the man practice. The man punched a few times and panted slightly. He turned to him and said, "Are you new?" "Ah yes, Watanabe." Toru Watanabe did not say his full name. "What are you good at?" "Kickboxing." The man looked up and down at Toru Watanabe. "My name is Jiang Chuan. I'm your senior. I'm good at sniping." "Sniping?" "Yes." Jiang Chuan took off the bandage on his hand. "You want to learn? I can teach you." "Thank you. But how should I put it? Although I want to learn, I don't have the time." "That's true." Jiang Chuan did not know what reason he came up with for Toru Watanabe, but he convinced himself. He cracked his neck. Let's try? I haven't fought anyone who's good at kickboxing. Don't worry, I'll bring defensive equipment when I practice to prevent it from affecting my normal mission. Normal mission? Protect Miss Kujo? Watanabe thought about it and decided not to call her Mickey. That's not my responsibility. Miss Jinglu is in charge. I'm usually responsible for checking snipers and setting up sniping positions. Setting up sniping positions. Yes. Jiang Chuan walked towards the ring and put on his defensive equipment. As a sniper, of course I have to find a good position to kill. Toru Watanabe stopped putting on his defensive equipment. Jiang Chuan had already entered the ring. He waved his fists and feet, looking like he was ready to fight. The two of them fought for a few rounds. Toru Watanabe's physique was not as good as his opponent's, but because of his defensive equipment, he dared to fight force with force. Coupled with his master-level skills, he suppressed his opponent. However, they were all hit on excellent defensive equipment. In addition, he deliberately held back, so both of them did not hurt at all. Without any defensive equipment, Toru Watanabe could only wander around and look for an opportunity to strike at his neck, eyes, lower body, and other parts of his body. Phew. The two of them were sweating profusely. Jiang Chuan was in high spirits, but Toru Watanabe's stamina could not hold on any longer. Stop, he said. That's it for today. Jiang Chuan smiled. You're very skilled, but your stamina is too weak. You still need to train harder. I'll write you a training schedule later. Okay, thank you. The two of them got out of the ring. Jinglu and the man who was doing the chest thruster had been watching from around the ring since the beginning. This is Tung Senator. He's good at demoning, explosives, and heavy firearms. This is Watanabe. He's very good at kickboxing, Jiang Chuan introduced. Hello. Toru Watanabe greeted the man with the chest thruster. Tung Sen nodded and did not speak. Toru Watanabe did not mind. He asked Jiang Chuan, what is Miss Jinglu good at? You don't know? Didn't she bring you here? Forget it, Miss Jinglu is good at. Shut up. Jingliu's face was cold. Who allowed you to tell information to people outside the security department? Jiang Chuan looked at Toru Watanabe and then at Jinglu. Watanabe is not one of us. Don't listen to her nonsense. Toru Watanabe said. Miss Kujo interviewed me personally and then recruited me. Now I'm mainly responsible for campus security. That's true. Jiang Chuan nodded. Although there are people around the school, security has always been a problem. I was wondering why they suddenly recruited someone so young. Miss Jinglu is like you. She's good at fighting and is also very good at small firearms. There are some other people, but they're not here today. I'll introduce them to you next time. Oh, Toru Watanabe raised his voice. Good at fighting. Jinglu picked up a set of armor and went into the ring without putting it on. Let's fight again. I'll teach you a lesson. No. I'm tired. I want to eat. Toru Watanabe took off his armor. This person was simply shameless. He was so tired that he was about to die. His stamina was completely depleted. Yet he said that he wanted to fight with him. If it was a moment ago, Toru Watanabe would definitely agree and beat her until she had a panda eye. I'm hungry too, Jiang Chuan said. I'll take you to the cafeteria. Tung Sun together? Tung Sun nodded. Okay. Miss Jinglu, get up here. Shizuru stared at Toru Watanabe. Toru Watanabe shrugged indifferently and said to Jiang Chuan, let's go. I'm starving. The two of them changed their clothes and brought Toru Watanabe to the cafeteria. In a place like Chiyoda where every inch of land was worth gold, the cafeteria actually had 3 floors. Hokkaido's seafood rice, Nagasaki's chestnut cuisine, Nagano's game pot, Okinawa's ishikaki beef, Osaka's takoyaki, Fukuoka Bodo ramen, Kyoto's kaisher. In addition to the specialties of Japan's one capital, 2 prefectures and 43 counties, there were also various foreign cuisines. Not to mention fruit drinks, cakes, and desserts. They were all shiny and beautiful. Most importantly, he could eat anything he wanted. Take anything he wanted. If it weren't for the fact that it was far from school, Toru Watanabe really wanted to come here for lunch every day. After hesitating for a while, he ordered Kagoshima's Black Pig Hot Pot. While eating, Toru Watanabe asked, "Miss Kujo will also come here to eat? How is that possible?" Jiang Chuan was very violent when fighting, but he was very gentle when eating. Miss likes to eat alone, and when she's in the company, she basically won't leave the 38th and 39th floors. The top management can only go to the 38th floor for meetings at most. I see. Because it was really delicious and there were many choices. After eating the Black Pig Hot Pot, Toru Watanabe went to get Hokkaido's Crab Banquet and Kagoshima's grilled chicken. He ate until his stomach hurt a little. Then he followed them back to the 25th floor. Taking advantage of the digestion, Jiang Chuan took him to familiarize himself with the environment. In addition to the gym, there was also a regular shooting club on the 25th floor that was not open to the public. "Can I try?" Toru Watanabe was eager to try. "According to the rules except for us, no one can use the equipment here without Miss Kujo's permission. But Watanabe, it should be fine for you to try the gun clip." "Thank you." Toru Watanabe estimated the possibility that Miki Kujo allowed him to come here to practice shooting. Beretta M9A1. Jiang Chuan took a black gun in his hand, loaded it skillfully, and fired at the target 30 meters away. The target fell down. "Here." He gave the gun to Toru Watanabe casually as if he was passing an umbrella. Toru Watanabe smelled the faint smell of gunpowder and felt the heavy weight of the gun. He knew that he was not strong enough, so he didn't shoot with one hand like Jiang Chuan. He carefully held the gun with both hands and aimed at the target 5 meters away like he saw in the movies. Just as he was about to shoot the gun for the first time in his life. Jingle, 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 jingle. Toru Watanabe sighed heavily, put down the gun and answered the phone. 39th floor, 1 minute. Beep. Beep. Sorry. Toru Watanabe reluctantly returned the gun to Jiang Chuan. "The mission is here. It's okay. We'll play again next time." Since he had only 1 minute, Toru Watanabe ran to the elevator, but found that the highest floor he could reach was the 37th floor. He quickly called Miki Kujo. 10 seconds left in 1 minute. "Wait. Your company is too big, and the elevator can't reach the 39th floor. I've already run. That's your business." "Well, Miki," Toru Watanabe said softly, "can't you talk sense with me once in a while? Just give it a try, just this once." "Huh?" Miki Kujo's laughter came from the other side of the phone. "Okay, I'll keep it in mind. Come up." When Tetsumasa Watanabe was about to ask her how to get up, the door of the private elevator suddenly opened. He walked in and came to the 39th floor. There was no office atmosphere on this floor. It was decorated in a furniture style, which was the so-called top-floor mansion. "Do you live here?" Toru Watanabe walked to the 5-meter-high glass window, overlooking the Gulf of Tokyo, and asked Miki Kujo, who was sitting on the sofa. Occasionally, Toru Watanabe's hatred for capitalists increased by 3 points. At this time, an elderly maid pushed a dining cart over and placed the exquisite dishes on the table. "Haven't you eaten yet? The meeting just ended." Miki Kujo stood up, stretched, and walked to the table. "Why are you standing there? Come here." "Me? I've already eaten." Miki Kujo stopped and turned around slightly. "I haven't eaten yet. How dare you eat first?" Toru Watanabe looked at her gloomy and terrifying eyes. "Well, I heard that Miki likes to eat alone, so I'll eat all of it." Miki Kujo pointed at the food on the table for two. Although the amount of Japanese food was not much, especially Miki Kujo's portion, it was almost only a small bite for a girl. But, "I can't eat." Toru Watanabe felt that his stomach was still full. "Then jump down from here." Toru Watanabe looked out the window at the beautiful scenery of Tokyo. "I'll eat." Toru Watanabe sat on the chair, and Miki Kujo sat opposite him, holding her chin with both hands and looking at him with a smile. If someone who didn't know better saw this scene, they would definitely think that it was his girlfriend who cooked and watched her boyfriend eat happily. Toru Watanabe swallowed the delicious cooked dish with difficulty. "Is it good?" Miki Kujo asked with a smile. "Okay, I'll eat." Then give me another portion. Wait. Miki Kujo rang the bell, and the maid quickly brought another portion. I think this dish tastes good. Here, try it. This was a dish of sashimi from an unknown fish. Miki Kujo took the initiative to pick up the chopsticks, dipped it in the seasoning for Toru Watanabe, and fed it to his mouth. I'll do it myself. Ah! Miki Kujo signaled him to open his mouth. Toru Watanabe could only tremble with fear and guard against her deliberately stabbing the chopsticks into his throat to eat the sashimi. Is it good? I don't really like sashimi. Only an idiot would say it was good after what happened 2 minutes ago. It seems that everyone has different tastes. Yes. Toru Watanabe breathed a sigh of relief. But, Miki Kujo tilted her head slightly. If we live together in the future, our tastes will be different, and it will be troublesome for the chef. You're lying. Toru Watanabe couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. So, Miki Kujo said with a smile that didn't allow him to refuse, I'll have to trouble you to change your taste to mine. No problem. Toru Watanabe's face turned serious. Actually, I realized that the moment you fed me, Miki, I already like sashimi. No, not just sashimi, Miki. I already like everything that you like. Really? This is called loving the house, loving the crow. I really can't do anything about myself. Once I met you, all my principles were abandoned. Then you still dared to eat before me. Miki Kujo's expression changed instantly. Just a moment ago, she was still smiling, but now she looked like she wanted to skin Toru Watanabe alive. I really don't know. Toru Watanabe felt wronged. Just like going up to the 39th floor, if you don't tell me, I can't go up except through the window. How about this, Miki? You tell me all your rules, and I won't make you angry in the future. Miki Kujo narrowed her eyes slightly. Toru Watanabe didn't move, waiting for her answer. Okay. Really? Toru Watanabe said happily. But, Miki Kujo leaned back on the chair and crossed her arms. After I tell you, if you displease me again, the punishment will be even worse. Are you sure you want to know? I have confidence in my love for you, Toru Watanabe said through gritted teeth. Alright, then remember it for me. 1. You must answer my call immediately. 2. You must keep all the things I give you well. Don't throw them away. 3. You are not allowed to talk to female creatures. What about my mom? Teacher? For, when I speak, you are not allowed to talk about conditions. I have the final say. 5.99. That's all for now. I'll tell you when I think of something else. Toru Watanabe, who had already given up from the 30th rule, quietly opened the system panel and found the supplementary rules. 1000. All rights of explanation belong to the game. A sense of familiarity washed over him. Through the transparent blue panel, he looked at Miki Kujo, who was in a happy mood. Her face was almost perfect. Her eyes were round and clear like glass beads under the sun. Her cherry-colored lips looked soft, making people want to gently slide their thumbs across them. A beast with a human face. The system was also the same. What romance system? Abiding by human rights. Temporary events were all traps. Toru Watanabe regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. Wasn't it good to rely on his own hard work to live? Why did he have to be tricked by the system? He was obsessed with becoming Miki Kujo's boyfriend for 200,000 points. Wasn't it good to be an honest bodyguard? Do you remember? Yes. If you take more than 0.5 seconds to answer, I'll punish you. Miki Kujo's expression changed. Come massage my shoulders. Chapter 76. It wasn't until Miki Kujo flew out of the country that Toru Watanabe was released. Before leaving, Miki, I want to go to the shooting club on the 25th floor to play. When you really make me feel comfortable. Can I? In that case, how about my full-strength massage? Do you want me to die from the pain? Be gentle. Oh, therefore, Toru Watanabe, who must learn an instrument, is prepared to learn massage techniques at the same time. The opportunity for temporary activities is slim. Since he can't rely on the system to obtain the shooting skill, he can only rely on himself. A place to practice shooting is too rare for ordinary people. This is an opportunity that must be grasped. When he returned home in the evening, Toru Watanabe looked for Rin Kiyono online to inquire about instruments. Kiyono-san, do you know what instrument is the easiest to learn? Half an hour later, the system prompted the message read, and then Rin Kiyono quickly replied. Ukulele. What is this? Rin Kiyono sent a dolphin touching its head, very helpless emoji. Toru Watanabe's finger quickly moved up and down on the screen. You just want to send an emoji? No, your narrow-mindedness really scares me. Then there was another picture of a dolphin with an expression of being unable to bear to look at it. Toru Watanabe gave up arguing with her. What is the easiest instrument to learn in the blowing club? Everyone is different. You must say one. Why should I listen to you? Because it's all your fault. A dolphin's confused emoji immediately appeared on the screen. Toru Watanabe told her about the concert, when Miki Kujo was woken up by the unpleasant sound, and then asked him to play for her. In response, Rin Kiyono sent a dolphin gloating emoji, and then sent a voice message with a cold voice without the slightest sympathy. Pitiful. Aren't you responsible? It's you who made me go to the concert and caused me to be in such a predicament. In terms of difficulty, the clarinet is easier, but if you want to satisfy Miki Kujo, I don't think a simple instrument is a good choice. I feel like you know her very well. As expected, the one who knows a person the best is always her enemy. What about the other instruments? I don't know much about other instruments, but I'm the best at playing the trumpet. I can teach you, but it's one of the more difficult instruments. How does it compare to the clarinet? How should I put it? If the difficulty of the clarinet is 1 star, then the trumpet is 5 stars. Wait a moment. Toru Watanabe called Miki Kujo. Miki, what do you think of me learning the clarinet? Nothing much. Then should I learn to use a Smuff account? Miki Kujo sneered. Obo. Do. Toru Watanabe, who was hung up on, did not mind at all. He was even satisfied with such a short and efficient call. He switched back to the line chat interface. The clarinet is the easiest. Would the oboe be slightly more difficult, but easier than the Smuff account? The oboe is as difficult as the horn. Horn. The dolphin helplessly attacked again, and then, 5 stars. You can just say that it's the same as the Smuff account. I suspect that you're deliberately humiliating me. Don't doubt. My phone is out of gas, goodbye. After a while, Toru Watanabe had to send another message. Well, Kiyono-san, do you know where a good instrument store is? If possible, tell me which type of oboe I should buy. Ah, aren't you going to refuel your phone? Sorry, I have a problem with my attitude. My mind is as deep as the trench in Ogasawara. I forgive your impulse. Tomorrow at 9:30, we'll meet at the entrance of Ginza Yamano Instrument Store. Wrong, Kiyono-san. Let me tell you, the deepest trench in Japan is not the trench in Ogasawara. Of course not. I'll keep the remaining 2 for later use. You mean I'll be forgiven by you at least twice? You think too highly of yourself, Toru Watanabe-san. I'm worried that the #1 scenery will soon have nothing to say to you. Oh. Toru Watanabe downloaded the dolphin emoji pack and sent a dolphin like. Of course, it's not a real like. It's a mockery. The next day, Sunday, it was still a drizzling day. Toru Watanabe got on the train at Shiya Station, took the Maruchi line, and got off at Ginza Station. On the weekend, Ginza is full of people. From time to time, you can see fashionable women wearing sunglasses, like movie stars, walking in and out of various luxury stores. In front of Yamano Instrument Store, Rin Kiyono, Mayasahi Asako Hanada, and Aoi Ichiki are already waiting there. Toru Watanabe stepped forward. Sorry I'm late. In fact, there are still 5 minutes before the agreed time of 9:30, but as the last person to arrive, it's polite to apologize. Rin Kiyono nodded. Let's go in. Toru Watanabe originally wanted to ask why the other 3 came, but seeing that she didn't want to talk, he gave up. But the reason why they came together is probably Aoi Ichiki's love story. Continuation. So there's nothing to be curious about. Yamano Instrument Store is a building 1 floor underground, 6 floors above ground. Each floor sells different things. The first floor is full of CDs. New albums, decade-old CDs, vinyl records from decades ago. Everything was available. For people who like physical discs, they won't feel tired even if they stay here for a few hours. On the wall of the corridor leading to the second floor, there is an exhibition of photos of an unknown singer. The second floor is still full of records, the third floor is full of music sheets, and the fourth floor is full of guitars. The group spent a total of an hour to go from the first floor to the fifth and sixth floors that sell other kinds of instruments. One person has to listen to songs, another person has to choose music sheets, and then everyone is locked in a cabinet with rows of brand new guitars. In short, the efficiency is extremely slow. If Toru Watanabe didn't know anything about instruments, he would have already bought it and left. Watanabe-san, the oboe is very expensive. How much budget did you bring? Aoi Ichiki asked on the stairs to the fifth floor. Very expensive? Isn't it just a flute? Toru Watanabe was puzzled. It's not a flute. Aoi Ichiki said weakly. Mayasahi on the side explained with a calm voice. The oboe is one of the most expensive instruments in the wind department, and it's very delicate, so it often needs to be repaired and maintained. Is 1 million enough? Toru Watanabe is prepared to spend all the money Miki Kujo gave him on this. 1 million? Aoi Ichiki, who was peeking at Mayasahi, exclaimed. Didn't Watanabe-san say that your living conditions aren't good? I don't have that much money Miki gave me. Toru Watanabe confessed. This isn't. Asako Hanada covered her mouth, her small face was red. I'm sorry. It's okay. Toru Watanabe waved his hand. My goal was to live a leisurely life. Having a rich girlfriend and being able to live a leisurely and wealthy life is of course better. I'm already prepared to be called a freeloader. If possible, Toru Watanabe certainly didn't want to accept this money. He wasn't so poor that he needed to rely on a woman to support him. Instead of living like this, he would rather do a part-time job of standing under the sun and holding up a real estate billboard for 4 hours. It was hard work, but the pay was considerable. It could allow a high school student like him to live a somewhat wealthy life without any problems. But did he dare to not accept this money? Did he dare to not use the minimum amount every month? Did he have a backbone? Would he rather die than accept it? Miki Kujo's words. If you don't spend my money, it means that you don't love me. If you don't love me, you can go die. That would really kill him. 1 million yen. Barely enough. Rin Kiyono walked towards the glass cabinet where the oboes were displayed, muttering at the same time. Marcus is famous for his timbre, but it's easy to crack. Monica's craftsmanship is strong. A good timbre is not worse than Marcus's. Joseph's craftsmanship is good. The timbre is relatively weak, but it's not easy to crack. The other four followed behind her as if they were listening to a tour guide introducing the history of the scenic area. Toru Watanabe suddenly saw a familiar name. Yamaha? Yob 241 oboe. Rin Kiyono looked over. It's made of traditional rare wood and advanced resin processing technology, the resin layer. Stop. Toru Watanabe hurriedly interrupted her. I was just wondering why Yamaha produces everything. Rin Kiyono glared at him unhappily. Sorry, please continue. Toru Watanabe immediately humbled himself. Rin Kiyono didn't care and pointed to a black oboe in the cabinet. Let's choose this one, Monica. Toru Watanabe looked at the price. 1,200,000 yen, which was considered a high price among the oboes in this shop. Then let's buy this one. Toru Watanabe called over the shop assistant. That's it. Asako Hanada and Aoi Ichiki widened their eyes. That's 1,200,000 yen. It doesn't matter, it's Mickey's money anyway, Toru Watanabe said. The two girls looked at him strangely. Rin Kiyono's expression was normal as she said to Toru Watanabe, the oboe is a very difficult instrument. It needs to be learned systematically. Mouth shape, breathing, finger movement, the use and protection of the whistle, and the maintenance of the instrument itself. There's a lot to learn. Of course, I believe in your perseverance. Of course. Toru Watanabe also felt that his perseverance was good. By the way, since it's so difficult, is it difficult to play 3 romances in half a month? Everyone present, including the shop assistant, had a gloomy expression. At this moment, Toru Watanabe had an epiphany. It's over. Judging from their reactions, it was impossible for them to learn how to play the oboe in half a month. That, Asako Hanada said. I heard from Hayami in the oboe department that many people can only play the oboe for 2 years. Oboe. Toru Watanabe doubtfully confirmed. Hana Tianchaozi's face instantly turned red from his stare. That's what classmate Zhaojian said. She's the chief of the oboe and bassoon. Is it really impossible in half a month? Silence, no one answered. Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono, hoping that she could give him some hope, but all he saw was her cold eyes that said, "Don't even think about it." When the scene became awkward, Mayasahi flatly said, "The tone of the oboe is very difficult to control, but there are also people who can achieve a mellow tone in half a year. Do your best." Her meaning was very clear. Everything was possible, but it still depended on talent. But half a year was used as an example of talent. What about half a month? Perhaps only he was willing to spend 100,000 points to exchange for 1 point of intelligence and become a peerless musical genius. That's right, he also had a 50% discount voucher that he was reluctant to use. It only cost 50,000 points. But what was the use of that? A peerless musical genius? In the face of the Kujo family, studying medicine wouldn't be able to save him. Thank you, I will work hard, Toru Watanabe said. Mayasahi lightly nodded. Asako Hanada and Aoi Ichiki. From the moment Mayasahi started comforting Toru Watanabe, their faces were full of surprise and disbelief. Rin Kiyono helplessly sighed. Since you bought it, let's go. It's time to talk about business. Toru Watanabe looked at her. Business? Accompanying you to buy musical instruments is just in passing. Please don't be narcissistic and think that the 4 of us will accompany you to buy musical instruments. Rin Kiyono took the lead and walked towards the elevator. The 5 of them went to the nearest coffee shop. After sitting down by the window, the girls ordered the new matcha sundae that was advertised at the door. Toru Watanabe ordered a cup of coffee. Not long after, the waitress brought their meal. The matcha sundae wasn't much, but it was decorated with white jade glutinous rice balls, fresh cream, and red beans. It was very beautiful. It looks delicious. Senior, wait a moment. Please allow me to take a picture first. Snap, snap. Right, let's take a picture together. Classmate Itsuki, we're not here to have fun, we have business too. Oh my, it's just a picture. What's the big deal? Come on. Toru Watanabe looked at the pictures taken from various angles as he added sugar to his coffee. The last time he drank coffee was on the night of the Imperial Tea Party. After that, he embarked on the arduous path of revolution against capitalism. After the 4 of them finished taking pictures and eating their sundaes, Rin Kiyono cleared her throat and began talking about business. Watanabe-san. Yeah. I have a suggestion on how to solve the crisis of the abandoned band. Yeah. I've decided to become the temporary coach of the band and help them enter the Tokyo University tournament, Rin Kiyono said. The expressions of the other 3 didn't change. It seemed that they had already discussed this matter beforehand. Toru Watanabe thought about it for a moment. The Tokyo University tournament is indeed an official tournament. If we really let them enter, the student council should recognize us. But are you confident? The Kamikawa High School band was so bad that it woke Miki Kujo up, not the band from Futaba Middle School. Of course. Rin Kiyono nodded. As long as I become the coach with the absolute right to speak, none of this will be a problem. With Seino classmates' strength, our bass section is already. Ding dong, Asako Hanada paused in the middle of speaking. Watanabe-san, please help me pick up the spoon. Toru Watanabe looked at the calm Mayasahi and blinked. Okay. But before he could bend over, Aoi Ichiki had already picked up the spoon. Senpai, I'll ask the waiter to bring you a new one, thank you. Hee waiter, please bring me a new spoon. Okay, please wait a moment. The happy Aoi Ichiki noticed Toru Watanabe's gaze and secretly gave him a victory sign. Itsuki-san, if you continue like this, Senpai will hate you tomorrow. Really, please stop this kind of fawning behavior. Everyone, Toru Watanabe definitely wasn't thinking this because he wasn't enjoying himself. As a client, he was very professional. After the waiter brought over a new spoon, Rin Kiyono opened her mouth. Watanabe-san, what do you think of this plan? Toru Watanabe took a sip of his sweet coffee. Since you've decided, then go ahead and do it. I support you unconditionally. Since he didn't have to do anything, of course he would support her. Thank you. Rin Kiyono nodded. When the time comes, you'll have to train seriously and won't be able to attend to chores. So I hope that Watanabe-san can take on the role of manager at a crucial time. Okay. Toru Watanabe reluctantly agreed. After all, I'm also a member of the Human Observation Department. Asako Hanada raised her hand timidly. Kiyono-san, right now the only people who want you to be a temporary coach are the bass section, the blowing section, and the 8 vocal sections. They'll agree. Kiyono-san, do you already have a way to convince them? With your level, I'm the only one who can make you enter the Tokyo University tournament this year. Rin Kiyono smiled confidently and said the truth that was too rude. Chapter 77. On Monday, the Human Observation Department began working on the issue of the abandoned club. Rin Kiyono found a way to convince all the members of the playing club to become a temporary consultant. Toru Watanabe's task was to convince the student council. If they helped the playing club enter the Tokyo University tournament, then they would recognize the Human Observation Department's legitimacy. The real high school student council didn't have as much of a presence as it did in the anime, and many people didn't even know who the president was. Although Toru Watanabe wasn't an ordinary person, he didn't know where the student council was either, so he decided to go to the principal's office. That's about it. I hope that principal can give us a chance to work hard for our rights. The old principal rubbed the back of his left hand with his right hand and said, Ever since our school was founded, we've always advocated that students should manage other students. Watanabe-san, it's better for you to discuss this matter with the student council. Okay, thank you, principal. Toru Watanabe said regretfully. I'll pass on your words to Kiyono-san and Miki-san and we'll think of something ourselves. Of course. The old principal interlaced his fingers and clenched his fists. He pursed his lips and said, Kamikawa believes in strength above all else. As long as Mr. Sano is able to lead the blowing club into the Kanto tournament, I believe that the student council will recognize the significance of your club's existence. Thank you, principal. I'll tell them the same thing. Okay, good luck. Oh, and don't fall behind in your studies. After leaving the principal's office, Toru Watanabe returned directly to his classroom. Now it was up to the student council and the principal to decide. The Human Observation Department, Rin Kiyono-san, only needed to help the playing club enter the Tokyo University tournament. And Toru Watanabe would be able to practice his oboe and massage techniques in peace until the end of the Tokyo University tournament in August. Toru Watanabe was in a good mood as he took out his oboe whistle from his pocket and started blowing into it. The melody was Jingle Bells. After school, Toru Watanabe went to the activity classroom of the Human Observation Department and heard the discussion inside. Pushing open the sliding door, he saw that the 8-seater table was full. Even his seat was taken by Myasahi. However, no one sat on Miki Kujo's sofa. It was unknown whether it was Rin Kiyono's reminder, or they were too embarrassed to sit on it. Seeing Toru Watanabe come in, the band members said in unison, Sorry to disturb you. It's okay. Toru Watanabe waved his hand, indicating for them to continue. While they were chatting, Toru Watanabe threw his backpack on the sofa, took out the oboe he temporarily named Black Flute, assembled it, and solemnly put it aside. Then, with the whistle in his mouth, he flipped through the book Basic Oboe Scale Technique Practice. The problem is with the third years, they insist. Rin Kiyono glanced at Toru Watanabe. Boo 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 boo. She continued to play Jingle Bells. She continued, If they insist, we can only. After memorizing the book, Toru Watanabe took out the sound corrector, adjusted the frequency to 440 Hz, and then inserted the whistle in his mouth into the instrument. He stopped, and his fingers found the right position. This time there was no sound. It's okay, he's a beginner. Toru Watanabe cleared his throat, adjusted the depth of the whistle, and straightened his back. This thing was really troublesome. Other instruments had enough lung capacity and could always make a sound, but it just had to do the opposite. Because the oboe had a small air inlet, it could only blow in a little bit of air at a time, which was equivalent to stopping breathing. The feeling of holding carbon dioxide in the lungs was not pleasant. When a beginner played a long note, they would definitely feel dizzy, and it was not uncommon for serious cases to faint directly. Toru Watanabe's current task was to make a sound. He took off the whistle, put it in his mouth, and blew it like a whistle, then carefully studied the shape of his mouth in the book. Toru Watanabe learned to forget himself, but the people in the meeting on the other side were quite miserable. Halfway through speaking they would suddenly say boo boo boo, and after getting used to it, they would say boo again. Feeling that he had some experience with the shape of his mouth, Toru Watanabe inserted the whistle into the oboe, and occasionally there would be a sound like a duck quacking. Every time this happened, everyone would quiet down and wait for the sound to pass. Rin Kiyono, on the other hand, rubbed her forehead with a headache. Knock knock knock. The door of the activity classroom was suddenly knocked. Come in. 2 men and a woman stood at the door, looking unfriendly. We are from the calligraphy department next door. Can we trouble you to not make too sharp a sound? Rin Kiyono smiled and looked at Toru Watanabe. Sorry, I will take it back to practice. Toru Watanabe put down the oboe. After being complained, Toru Watanabe could only learn the theory and whistle. Watanabe-san, for the oboe, you should find a teacher. A girl with a dangerous-looking hairstyle suggested when the playing department left. Thank you. Toru Watanabe came back to his senses and nodded at the other party. After they left, Tetsumasa Watanabe prepared to continue practicing, but Rin Kiyono asked him, "Did the student council agree?" They agreed. Rin Kiyono frowned. Tell me the truth. Toru Watanabe was about to continue whistling, but after hearing her words, he had no choice but to tell her about the meeting with the principal at noon. Next time the student council comes looking for trouble, tell them to go directly to the principal. He will definitely help us persuade them. Rin Kiyono nodded. She didn't mind Toru Watanabe using the power of Kiyono's family. She wouldn't use her privilege, but she wouldn't take the initiative to prevent others from using it. Even without her, there was still the Kujo family, and the result would still be the same. What about you? You seem to be in trouble? Toru Watanabe asked. I will take care of it. Under the setting sun, Rin Kiyono picked up a sealed book. The matter was more troublesome than Toru Watanabe had expected. He watched them hold several meetings, and it wasn't until Thursday that Rin Kiyono informed him that the matter had been resolved. Too slow. She frowned. I wasted a few days of practice. If they wanted to bring the level of Kanagawa High School to the Tokyo University tournament, 1 or 2 days were indeed important, and they had to race against time. But this had nothing to do with Toru Watanabe. Can I go with you? He asked. Rin Kiyono slightly tilted her head and cast a puzzled look at him. I want to practice more. Toru Watanabe pointed to the oboe on the table. Not only in the activity room, but also in the rented house, Toru Watanabe also received complaints. He could only go to the river every morning and evening, but the progress was very slow, and there were too many mosquitoes in the summer. If he could go to the music room of the blowing club, not only could he avoid the mosquitoes, but he could also practice for a few more hours every day. But Toru Watanabe faintly had an ominous premonition. Before July, there was a high probability that he would still be fighting with the ducks. Now he could only work hard, and Miki Kujo would see that he had done his best, and perhaps she would let him go, or give him a massage as punishment. On Friday, after a clear day, it began to rain again. Toru Watanabe was in a very good mood, and he didn't even sleep until late last night. June 21st, exactly 23 days had passed since the day he confessed to Miki Kujo on May 29th. Miki Kujo agreed to go out with him during the lunch break. That is to say, after today's lunch break, it would be exactly 1 month since he signed in. For the whole morning, Toru Watanabe was in a good mood, whistling, not because he was frivolous, or because he couldn't control himself, but because it was one of the ways for beginners to practice the oboe. During the lunch break, there was still some time before the signing in, so he followed Rin Kiyono to the music room. Today, it seemed that all the members of the wind instrument department were present, and the classroom was overcrowded. They were whispering to each other. Their voices were not loud, but with more than 80 people together, it was simply a feast of noise. Please keep quiet, the meeting will now begin. The head of the wind instrument department, surnamed Komatsu, raised his voice and shouted. The classroom gradually quieted down. Komatsu continued. After everyone's discussion, and with the teacher's permission, we have decided to officially invite the first-year student Rin Kiyono to be our temporary consultant. Rin Kiyono entered the classroom from the door, and then went to the podium. Toru Watanabe followed behind, but after entering the classroom, he hid by the window. Let me introduce myself first. Even in the face of 80 people, Rin Kiyono was still fearless. My name is Rin Kiyono, and I specialize in trumpet. In the future, I will also be responsible for teaching the brass, and I will look for other first-rate teachers for the woodwinds and percussion. No one objected. Toru Watanabe guessed that during this period of time, she must have used practical actions to prove her strength on copper pipes. What a pity, I really wanted to see her single-handedly take on the wind instrument department. But then again, shouldn't this kind of thing be done by him, the protagonist? Why is he doing the simple and easy dirty work instead? While his thoughts were running wild, Toru Watanabe keenly noticed that someone in the crowd was staring at him. He looked in the direction of his intuition, and in the crowd, the beautiful face and graceful figure of Yoshimi Tamamo withdrew her gaze. The sound of chalk came, and Rin Kiyono pointed to the blackboard with a staff drawn on it, and on it was written, Tokyo University Competition. This is everyone's goal this year. Toru Watanabe saw that many people were ashamed, and some people were expressionless. Rin Kiyono looked at everyone, and then turned around and drew a big X on the Tokyo University Competition. Hey, are you going to humiliate them in front of 80 people? Even if it's me, I can only take you and run away. Just as Toru Watanabe was thinking this, the sound of chalk came again. Please change the goal to this. Rin Kiyono pointed to the new words on the blackboard, which were so white that it almost reflected the light. National Competition Gold Medal. The scene suddenly became chaotic, and even the bass section members looked at each other. It seemed that they also didn't know about this play. Before anyone could stand up to question, Rin Kiyono's cold voice came first. You don't need to care about what your goal is, even if you just want to appear on the stage once. You just need to obey my orders, and strictly follow my arrangements. Her confident and arrogant words echoed in the quiet music room. Well said. A voice came from the crowd. Before Toru Watanabe could react, Rin Kiyono's eyes found her. Inoue-senpai and the others, she looked at the people in the classroom one by one. I don't care what you think of me, my goal is only the national competition gold medal. Unlike you, as long as I have a goal, I will definitely achieve it. A slightly noisy voice sounded again. And I never fail, and I will not allow failure, so this time, I also hope to succeed. You are the eldest daughter of Kiyono family, how can you fail? A harsh voice responded, but this time it was another person. Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono. She said that she had not used the privilege so far, so she must not have. Even if other people took the initiative to let her use it because of Kiyono family, it would be too hasty to so easily deny all her efforts and achievements. Would she be angry? No. Rin Kiyono did not even respond. She put down the chalk. First of all, tonight, I will personally choose the 55 official members of Group A. What? Impossible. We also have a chance to go on stage. Isn't it natural for the third years to go on stage? In the face of the noise, Rin Kiyono sneered and said, Those who are speaking now are all those who feel that they are not strong enough to be chosen, right? Toru Watanabe gasped. You have a new email. My minister, please watch your words. There was an uproar below again. Some people stood up directly, and the stools were pushed away with an ear-piercing sound. Everyone blamed Rin Kiyono. What is a first year like, you know? Even the consultant teacher doesn't dare to make such a decision. Letting her guide us is indeed a waste of time. The door of the music room was opened, and the group led by Inoue left the classroom angrily. The remaining people exchanged uneasy looks. You can't even stick to what you've decided. It's good that such a person left. Qingyi Rin said nonchalantly. I'll say it again, you can feel uneasy, you can choose not to participate, you can hate me, but if you've decided to participate in the tournament with me, from now on, please follow my orders. She picked up a stack of music scores from the podium. Minister Komatsu, please distribute them to everyone. Ah, okay. Minister Komatsu, who had been in a dilemma since just now, quickly replied. The music scores were distributed to everyone. Because there were many, Toru Watanabe also took a copy. These are the designated songs and self-selected songs for the selection of official members. Everyone practice well. By the way, don't think that you can relax just because you entered Group A. Until the competition, as long as a member of Group B who fails to be selected is strong enough, I will kick Group A to Group B at any time. Those who don't want to participate in the selection after school today, you don't have to come. But before you make a decision, please think about your experience in the concert hall last Saturday. There are still 2 scheduled performances. Are you willing to continue like this? Finally, I will say this one more time. Since this is something you have decided on, I hope that you can stick to it. The classroom fell into silence for a while. Rin Kiyono turned around and left the music classroom. Toru Watanabe followed behind her. He said helplessly, there should be a better way to say it, right? It's not a bad thing for conflicts to erupt in the beginning. I will not allow anyone to quit after working hard for a period of time. That makes sense, but aren't you afraid of being hated? Rin Kiyono stopped and turned to look at Toru Watanabe. Let me tell you a reason why I'm so outstanding. Please say. If you care about the people you care about, you don't need to care about what others think. Toru Watanabe nodded. There was no one in the classroom worth caring about. Rin Kiyono glanced at him. What are you talking about? Aren't we going to practice? All right. Toru Watanabe slapped his head. He didn't think of practice, but the sign-in reward. Sign-in days. Miki Kujo a 30 days. Player received a sign-in gift pack. Points 200,000. Money 100 million. Charm discount scroll. 30% discount for players with charm below 10 points. 30% discount for players with charm above 10 points. Intelligence discount scroll. 30% discount for players with intelligence below 10 points. 30% discount for players with intelligence above 10 points. It was very rigid, and there were no additional surprises. But Toru Watanabe liked it. A whole 200,000 points. Mickey, I love you. You want to die. Do you know what time it is? Beep. Beep. Chapter 78. Points, 284,000. Looking at this line, Toru Watanabe instantly had the urge to max out his stamina, but he held back. Points could be exchanged in an instant. If he really needed more stamina, it wouldn't be too late to exchange then. Not only could he save points by training himself, but he could also cultivate a healthy lifestyle and train his willpower. He would gradually show a self-confident appearance. This wasn't something a simple 10 points of stamina could bring. A calm ocean couldn't train a capable sailor. A comfortable environment couldn't create a great man of the times. If possible, Toru Watanabe hoped to change the motto on the enrollment and employment survey to this. I want the world to bow down to me, or something like that. It was too shameful to think about it now. Toru Watanabe walked happily back to the music classroom. He looked around the classroom and found the head of the blowing department in the crowd. Head Komatsu. Misaki Komatsu turned around. Watanabe-san? Is something wrong with Kiyono-san? No. Toru Watanabe said. It's like this, I want to apply to practice the oboe in your activity classroom. Then he added, Please don't worry, I definitely won't affect your training and ensemble. If I cause you any trouble, you can let me go at any time. Misaki Komatsu smiled. Everyone's practice usually doesn't affect anyone. Watanabe-san, why would you affect it? It's okay. Oh right, do you want to join the blowing department? Join the blowing department. Yes. As long as you join, not only will you be able to use the classroom as you wish, but you'll also be able to receive guidance from Zaoji-senpai. After Misaki Komatsu finished speaking, the person with a wife's hairstyle next to her smiled gently at Toru Watanabe. I'm the head of the oboe bassoon department, Keiru Hayami. Toru Watanabe recognized her as the one who kindly reminded him to find a teacher on Monday. Zaoji-senpai, I'm Toru Watanabe, a first-year student. If I join now, won't it cause you trouble? Everyone in the playing department was focused on the competition. Asking them to take out their precious time to teach a newbie like him would be too troublesome. If it weren't for the fact that he couldn't explain the source of the money, he could have just found a music teacher outside. Misaki Komatsu smiled and put her hand on Keiru Hayami's slender shoulder. I saw earlier that she is the chief of the oboe bassoon section, and the only member who can play the bassoon. In other words, regardless of whether consultant Kiyono is willing or not, she has to play the bassoon. Meihua! Keiru Hayami shouted helplessly. During this period of time, Toru Watanabe had learned some common knowledge about musical instruments. He knew that many musical instruments had their own special mouths. For example, if an oboe player were to change to another instrument, they would have to learn it all over again. Moreover, if the original lip-reading habits were not engraved into their bones, it was very likely that they would forget it. Under such harsh circumstances, the oboe player changing to the bassoon, and the bassoon to the oboe player were the most common choices. From this, it could be seen that there were many similarities between the two. Misaki Komatsu had asked Keiru Hayami, who played the bassoon, to teach him for a reason. But don't look down on my Zao because of this. Misaki Komatsu said proudly. Her ability can be said to be undisputed number one. There's also my Asahi classmate, Keiru Hayami said with a smile. You two are tied for first place. Keiru Hayami ignored the Misaki Komatsu and revealed a gentle smile. Watanabe classmate, I will teach you without affecting my own training. I hope that you can join the playing department and join the oboe bassoon section. If that's the case, then I'll have to trouble you. Toru Watanabe did not ask why the oboe club member was not allowed to teach him. In any case, he was not prepared to trouble others to waste their training time to teach him. Wait a moment. Misaki Komatsu skipped away and quickly came back with an application form. After Toru Watanabe filled it out, she clenched her fist and said loudly, The playing department will rule Kamigawa one step further. What? Toru Watanabe was stunned by her. It's like this. After Keiru Hayami finished explaining, Toru Watanabe knew that the reason Misaki Komatsu said this was because she wanted the entire school to become a member of the playing department. Of course, this was impossible. The playing department did not pay wages, nor did it cover the allocation of students. They did not even pay for food and lodging. After entering the department, Toru Watanabe directly followed Keiru Hayami to the oboe bassoon training room. It was even smaller than the bass department's room. It was just the right size to describe it as a palm-sized room. There was not a single person inside. Toru Watanabe did not ask where they went, but when the lunch break was almost over and there was only him and Keiru Hayami in the room, he faintly felt that something was wrong. Hayami-senpai, where is the oboe club member? Keiru Hayami put down the hookah bassoon and a trace of helplessness flashed in his eyes. Watanabe-san, I hope that you can tell Kiyono-san that the oboe club member, Sato Noriko, does not intend to participate in the selection. As the only oboe club member, even if her strength was only at the level of playing, in fact, because of the high difficulty of playing oboe, many bands only required the members to be able to play. She would definitely be chosen to be in Group A. But, not participating in the selection was another matter. It was obvious that she was opposed to Rin Kiyono being the consultant. The situation was very bad. Toru Watanabe revealed a smile. He wanted to see how Rin Kiyono would solve this problem. Today's happy events were coming one after another. It just so happened that the first and fourth classes had a class of home economics in the afternoon. Toru Watanabe was stirring the flour in his hands as he slipped to Rin Kiyono's side, who was wearing an apron and carefully handling the ingredients. Kiyono-san, I have good news and bad news. Watanabe-san, I don't need any more flour for my dishes. Oh, sorry. Toru Watanabe accidentally wiped the flour that had spilled on the dishes, but ended up smearing more flour, so he simply ignored it. Which one do you want to hear first? He said with a smile. The bad news. Rin Kiyono skillfully flipped the octopus balls on the model iron plate. The only Obo Club member is a member of the Resistance Army. Rin Kiyono's hands paused. What's the good news? For the sake of the Human Observation Department, I have resolutely decided to join the Blowing Club alone and become the new Obo Club member. Lies. I will join the Blowing Club and help it conquer the world. Tell me the truth. Rin Kiyono frowned and said with a tone that said, I don't have time to laugh at you right now. Toru Watanabe threw the dough into the bowl and pointed at Rin Kiyono with his powdered finger. He pretended to be serious and said, I like it when you're cold and aloof. Rin Kiyono turned her head and suddenly smiled. She used a toothpick to pick up a meatball. Try it. Aw, thank you. Toru Watanabe took a bite. How's the taste? The taste of love. Love. Rin Kiyono was stunned. It's spicy and choking. You're tearing up. Isn't this like love? You're in pain and happy at the same time? Toru Watanabe wiped the tears from the corner of his eyes with the back of his hand. Chinyi Rin rubbed his chin and said, To think that you can taste the taste of love when you eat wasabi. Humans are truly incredible. I still need to observe and study them more carefully. She turned around and picked up another octopus meatball. Toru Watanabe hurriedly took 2 steps back. No, it's not that important. Actually, I joined the Blowing Club because I wanted to use the music room. The original Obo Club member was indeed a member of the resistance against you. Why can't these people work harder? Rin Kiyono ate the octopus meatball in her hand. Toru Watanabe blinked. Nothing? Rin Kiyono followed his gaze and looked down at the toothpick in her hand. You mean this? I saw that you're so spicy, so I wanted to give you a normal taste to ease the tension. But you seem to cherish love very much. Of course I'm loyal to Mickey. Tell this kind of lie to your Mickey. After school, Rin Kiyono continued her selection on an evening when the rain stopped, and the sunset dyed the corridor red. In the end, more than 60 people joined the club of more than 80 people. The number of people was enough. The only problem was the oboe. Although Toru Watanabe was also an oboe, it would take at least another year for him to reach the level of being able to play the instrument. As for using the 30% off intelligence coupon and spending 30,000 points to become a musical genius, it was impossible. Wouldn't it be better to use it to learn firearms and become a martial arts genius? Or use it on politics and business to prepare for the future when Miki Kujo gave birth to his child and took maternity leave? Wouldn't it be better to take the opportunity to plunder her family property? Or even use it to increase his charm? If his smile didn't work, he could use his eyes. If her eyes didn't work, he could use her nose. There was always something that could poke at Miki Kujo's sexual preference. Now for a small daily problem, and it was someone else's problem. Toru Watanabe would never use the points that he obtained by risking his life. Moreover, this matter actually only needed Rin Kiyono or Miki Kujo. If one of them took the initiative to ask the principal, even 10 students wouldn't be enough. It's just that Rin Kiyono had her own insistence, and Miki Kujo couldn't wait for the Human Observation Department to close down or offer to become the director. After the selection, everyone gathered in the music classroom. Rin Kiyono stood on the podium. From today onwards, except for Saturday and Sunday, you must also come to school for training. The Blowing Club will go home at 9:00 p.m. As soon as she announced, someone immediately stood up. I have tutoring at 7:00 p.m. We're already in our 3rd year of high school, and we're busy preparing for school. In addition to tutoring, I also have to work at night. In the eyes of outsiders, Kanagawa High School was a school that only talked about deviation. and was useless except for being smart. There were indeed many people who were busy studying, and in the eyes of others, they were introverted people who were not sociable. Rin Kiyono clapped her hands and signaled for everyone to be quiet. Considering this point, I've already applied to the school for the blowing club to stay in school until 12 o'clock p.m. I'll also help you with your homework. You? Help us? Are you kidding me? Do you think you're so great just because you're first in the first year? Our club also has a third year first. In the face of everyone's doubts, Rin Kiyono's expression didn't change, and she maintained her usual confidence. Everything is based on facts. Her cold and oppressive voice made everyone subconsciously quiet down. In addition to the monthly concert at the end of the month, I'll also participate in the third year's exam this month. If I can't get first place, I'll withdraw. At this time, even Toru Watanabe couldn't help but whisper, "Ah!" Unlike the others who questioned her strength, he was just amazed at her method of meeting force with force. Didn't this woman know how to be tactful? Did she want to use her strength to shut the other party up? Although she could do whatever she wanted with enough strength, sometimes she needed to use methods other than strength to deal with people's hearts. For example, now, Toru Watanabe took 2 steps forward and said to everyone, "Everyone, just treat this as a learning session." Learning session? That's right. Toru Watanabe nodded. Gathered here are the third year's first place, the first year's first place in liberal arts, and the first year's first place in science. Although it's a bit arrogant, I still have to say, it's no problem to answer the other members' questions. Don't underestimate the first year, because the content of the exam involved the knowledge of the entire high school. If the 2 of them were to do the third year's exam, not to mention the first or second place, they would definitely be in the top 20. However, Rin Kiyono was a bit unhappy that Toru Watanabe took the initiative to claim that she was the first in liberal arts, and even placed in front of science. Everyone in the music department was talking about it, but they all looked a bit moved. Also, Toru Watanabe showed an expectant smile. Everyone gathered together in the middle of the night, training until your fingers are sore, and studying until late at night with only the lights in the music room on. Don't you feel that it's very youthful? This was a smile full of magical colors, making people happy and fascinated. People would like the young man's lips, nose, eyes, and finally the young man's entire person because of this smile. It was inconceivable and unreasonable, just like the person you liked, showing an irresistible preference for you. Next, perhaps because of this smile, or perhaps because of Toru Watanabe's words really poked their hearts, they all showed expectant smiles. I support. My Asahi was the first to speak. I also support. Aoi Ichiki immediately raised her hand. I've long wanted to ask Kiyono classmate and Watanabe classmate about learning methods. I also support. Asako Hanada shyly but firmly raised her hand. Then everyone in the bass department raised their hands. Toru Watanabe nodded gratefully at my Asahi, and she blinked twice in return, although it was a very ordinary blink, and her eyes were still as calm as a clear spring. Toru Watanabe felt that she was hinting at something. Could it be an empty classroom in the middle of the night? Toilet? Corridor? That's too exciting. This won't do, senior. Since the third year's number 1 senior has agreed, then we should also. Studying together seems like a good idea. It just so happens that I always want to play with my phone and eat snacks at home. If we stay and study together, we can even improve our grades. Me too, it feels so inefficient to study alone. But what if we go back in the middle of the night? Will it be dangerous? We'll go back in a group at night. What's there to be afraid of? Also, you can sleep at my place, or I can go to your place. Now that you say it like that, I'm looking forward to it. It feels like sleeping together. Listening to everyone's discussion, Toru Watanabe proudly looked at Rin Kiyono. Thank you. This sentence was said softly and quickly, and under everyone's voices. Before Toru Watanabe could hear it clearly, Rin Kiyono had already turned her face away. Please remember, we're here to train and study, so be prepared to suffer until you want to die, she said to the excited crowd with a cold face. Now let's start the training. Chapter 79. Everyone, return to your own classroom. I'll take turns to check. I hope I don't see any of you slacking off. Rin Kiyono's eyes were cold as she ordered them to disperse. In Japan, where relationships between seniors and juniors are highly valued, there's probably no one else other than her who can command more than 60 students with such imposing manner. No, there's also Miki Kujo. But if she's the consultant, will she die? Definitely will. Thinking of this, Toru Watanabe actually felt that Rin Kiyono wasn't that strict. Toru Watanabe couldn't help but sigh as he watched the members of the Wind Instrument Club leave while whispering bad things about Seigo Rin. They didn't know how lucky they were. Toru Watanabe also returned to the oboe bassoon classroom. He put aside the music score that Rin Kiyono gave him. This kind of thing is as far away from him as from Iwate Prefecture to Tokyo. As a newbie among newbies, he didn't even have the chance to do basic training like playing the flute. In short, he first had to play the flute, then the second step was to stabilize the sound of the flute, then the music score. Immersed in the training, time flew by. When Keiru Hayami called him, it was already 6 o'clock. According to Rin Kiyono's schedule, the next 30 minutes was dinner time. Watanabe-san, what do you want to eat? Keiru Hayami's voice was very soft. Toru Watanabe didn't know what to eat. With a whistle in his mouth, he thought for a moment. Let's go to the supermarket on campus to see if there's anything to eat. If there's nothing, we'll go to the restaurant at the bus station. It only took 5 minutes to go from school to the restaurant. 10 minutes to go back. 20 minutes to eat was more than enough. Because of the long days and short nights in summer, the sky outside was still bright. The crows on the telephone poles were particularly mournful under the dim setting sun. Toru Watanabe mixed in with the crowd after school. After eating at the restaurant, he returned to the music classroom 10 minutes early to continue practicing. Student Watanabe, do you want to have some snacks to help with digestion? Looking at the smiling Aoi Ichiki, Toru Watanabe asked in confusion. Eating snacks to aid digestion? Girls are all like this. Aoi Ichiki smiled mischievously. Let's go. They're all girls. No, I refuse. Why? I'm the only oboe, so I have to work hard. This was of course a lie. It was one thing to stay with Keiru Hayami during training, but he took the initiative to go to the all-female training room during break time. Did he think that Miki Kujo didn't pamper him enough? Furthermore, he had to put in a lot of effort to get Kujio Miki to let him go this time, even though he was bragging like a duck. However, Toru Watanabe did not hate hard work. Whether he was forced or not, since he had to learn, he would learn seriously. Just like Spanish and English, these only made him better, and it was a means to train his learning ability. As for whether it would be useful in the future, he did not care. Aoi Ichiki was helpless. She pouted and said, "Okay." A little after 8 o'clock in the evening, Rin Kiyono came to the oboe bassoon section with a laptop in her hand. She simply nodded her head as a greeting. Next, please follow me and sing music. Sing music? Toru Watanabe doubtfully repeated this unfamiliar word. Keiru Hayami softly explained. It refers to the basic training of reading music. It can cultivate the ability to read music, and also to produce the correct intervals. Thank you for meeting me so early. Keiru Hayami replied with a gentle smile. If only my girlfriend had such a personality. Toru Watanabe looked at her face and thought. Keiru Hayami's appearance was far from Miki Kujo's at 9 o'clock. She was only a little prettier than the average person, but Toru Watanabe liked her gentle personality very much. First, the B tone. Rin Kiyono said, "Morning classmate, you go first." Okay. Keiru Hayami nodded and produced a voice that was as high as the one played by the laptop. In this night, her overly soft voice, coupled with a natural hint of sadness, seemed to bring Toru Watanabe back to his mother's arms. Rin Kiyono nodded and looked at Toru Watanabe. Me too. Don't think that I will be merciful to you just because we have a good relationship. Wait, that's not what I meant. I mean, Rin Kiyono interrupted him directly. Don't waste time. There are still 2 parts waiting for me. Okay. After Toru Watanabe finished, she put her hand on her chin and said thoughtfully, Toru Watanabe classmate, you're not good at singing, right? For now. For now. You're tone deaf, and you won't be able to change it in a short time. Rin Kiyono ruthlessly stated the truth. You're affecting my playing of the oboe? No. Even tone-deaf people can still play the correct notes with an instrument. Then why do you have so much nonsense to say? Rin Kiyono's expression turned cold. You're the weakest in the playing section, and your grades are good. I'll help you practice singing during the lesson. Sorry, I have a problem with my attitude. Toru Watanabe felt that he was too familiar with this sentence. Rin Kiyono snorted as if she was throwing a tantrum. There's no point in apologizing. Okay, now you guys play the B note together. 10 minutes later, Rin Kiyono rushed to the next part. Kiyono classmate, she's very professional, Keiru Hayami said softly. She's also very strict, Toru Watanabe responded after being lectured for 10 minutes. Keiru Hayami recalled the scene just now and couldn't help but laugh. But I think Kiyono classmate's attitude towards you is very special. It is very special, and she almost scolded me to death. What Rin Kiyono said to him just now would have made anyone else give up on the road of musical instruments. It was like learning how to drive in a driving school. The most infuriating thing was that every word she said was the truth, which made him find many of his mistakes. Although it was only a short period of instruction, Toru Watanabe felt that he had grasped the knack of grasping the intervals, and he couldn't wait to play it again. But this mentality appeared again and again in the last 10 minutes. Every time he finished playing, Rin Kiyono's poisonous tongue would point out even more mistakes. Could it be that she understands you, which is why she's like this? Understands me? Yeah. Even if she knows that you're being lectured, she won't give up, and will work even harder. That's true. Besides being handsome, smart, gentle, and dedicated, the only thing I have is hard work. Even if Rin Kiyono was present, Toru Watanabe still had the confidence to say this. But he wasn't sure if it was true or not. It should be true, right? Probably. Yeah. Keiru Hayami tilted his head in confusion, and decided not to continue the topic of Toru Watanabe. In my opinion, Kiyono classmate knows that even if she scolds you, you won't hate her, and the relationship between the two of you won't deteriorate because of this, so she's so strict with you. That's wrong. That girl doesn't care if other people hate her or not. Is that really the case? Of course. Toru Watanabe put the whistle in his mouth and continued to practice. At 9 o'clock in the evening, the first day of training came to an end. At this time, the school building was so quiet that you could hear a pin drop on the ground. Everyone went to the toilet or went home. Not everyone decided to participate in the study session. Among the people who stayed, many were discussing Rin Kiyono's instruction. Some said that she was good, but most of them were dissatisfied with her overly harsh attitude. Toru Watanabe was washing his hands in the toilet, and he even heard someone crying in the female toilet. This is the right way to be young. Crying hard is better than crying because of abortion. Toru Watanabe comforted the girl in his mind. Just as he was thinking, he suddenly felt someone's gaze on him. Peeking at him was a common occurrence. In the classroom, on the road, in the tram, Toru Watanabe had long been used to it, but this gaze was different. There was no appreciation, no love, no thirst, and instead, there was a sense of hidden bitterness. Toru Watanabe raised his head and looked at the mirror. In addition to a boy who was very popular with girls, there was also a beautiful girl with a good figure and slightly puffed cheeks. Yoshimi Tamamo was standing behind him with a mouthpiece. Toru Watanabe turned off the tap and moved aside. Yoshimi Tamamo pressed the corners of her mouth and glanced at him with a slightly resentful gaze. She went forward to the sink and washed the mouthpiece with water. Toru Watanabe shook the water off his hands as he walked back to the music classroom, thinking that he did not do anything wrong to her. After the break, the study session began. Everyone had a strange feeling in their hearts. The sound of pen writing on paper, and even the sound of clothes rubbing against each other, sounded very loud. At first, some people whispered because of the novelty, but soon everyone was immersed in the study, and they made sounds to ask questions. Kanagawa High School was indeed a group of idiots who only knew how to study. Only Toru Watanabe was asked by Rin Kiyono to repeatedly practice singing before 10 o'clock. In her words, he was tone-deaf because he was not familiar with singing. As long as he was familiar with singing, he could at least achieve the minimum of not going out of tune. Of course, don't expect to sing well. There is no other art that values talent more than singing. Rin Kiyono's proud expression made Toru Watanabe so angry that he almost gave himself a point of intelligence on the spot. During the study session, Toru Watanabe was the most popular teacher. After all, the music club was a girls' club. As a handsome and beautiful boy, it was difficult for him not to be popular. Moreover, compared to Masahi and Rin Kiyono, he was simply too easy to talk to. His knowledge was also enough to answer questions, so there was no reason for others not to ask him. However, the single-minded Toru Watanabe's attitude was absolutely professional. He would never do anything wrong to Miki Kujo. At 11:30, everyone left the school together. Do you want me to send you back? Toru Watanabe took the initiative to ask Rin Kiyono at the shoe cabinet. Being reprimanded at a club activity was one thing. After all, the two of them had a good relationship and were good opponents. Toru Watanabe did not want anything to happen to her. Rin Kiyono looked at him suspiciously. She pressed her hands on her collar and took a step back. Watanabe-san, I admit that I'm beautiful to the point that all men want to commit crimes. But you're smart, so you should know what you can do and what you can't do. Please think about your parents. If they knew that you were in prison for molesting a female classmate, I'm not interested in you. You took the initiative to touch me, so I have to think about it. This is the first time I've heard the truth so infuriating. Rin Kiyono loosened her collar. Then, I'll have to trouble you. Toru Watanabe looked at her tightly pursed lips, shy expression, and her slightly blushing face. He came to a conclusion in his heart. Girls are definitely cunning creatures. Because if Rin Kiyono asked him again, he might not have the confidence that, I'm not interested in you was the truth. At night, Shinjuku was still lively. Young people with dyed hair could be seen everywhere at the crossroads. There were also office workers in suits and leather shoes who worked overtime until late at night. Is there a way to deal with Ritsuko Sato? Toru Watanabe asked softly on a secluded path with unknown wildflowers. Ritsuko Sato, a member of the resistance army, was the only person in the band who could play the oboe. Rin Kiyono shook her head. I'll try to recruit new members. Maybe there are still students in the school who can play the oboe. But Kiyono-san, you have to be careful. If you really do this and still don't solve the problem, I'm afraid that Ritsuko Sato will become even more fearless. At that time, she might embarrass you. You should be concerned about me, right? I obviously treated you like this today. Watanabe-san is really gentle and considerate. Rin Kiyono turned her head to look at him, and said teasingly, What the hell are you thinking about? I mean, instead of letting a passerby embarrass you, it's better to let me do it. After that, Toru Watanabe paused for a moment. Suddenly, a couple hugging each other appeared on the road. Under the dim yellow street lights, the two people's shadows were not as wide as Toru Watanabe's. After silently distancing himself from the couple, Toru Watanabe continued. Casino-san, if you're at your wit's end, all you have to do is put on your shaman costume and wait for me in the club classroom. I'll come and help you. It's okay to fall asleep on the road, but if you're dreaming, I suggest you lie in bed. Remember, it's the witch uniform. Don't wear the wrong one. It seems that Watanabe-san's ears are also not good. Rin Kiyono rubbed her temples. I remember that the Kujo family has a few hospitals. Let your Miki take you for a checkup, and let her wear the witch uniform for you. You're not cute at all. I'm not cute? There's no bigger lie than that. I'm talking about your personality. Your personality is also perfect. Toru Watanabe was really speechless. That I think you should go to the hospital to check for cognitive impairment. Cognition is the intelligent processing process of the body's recognition and acquisition of knowledge. It involves learning, memory, language, thinking, spirit, emotions, and a series of random, psychological and social behaviors. Cognitive impairment refers to abnormalities in the brain's high-level intelligent processing process related to learning, memory, thinking, and judgment, resulting in serious learning and memory impairment. accompanied by changes such as aphasia, apraxia, agnosia, or dyslexia. The basis of cognition is the normal function of the cerebral cortex. Any factor that causes abnormalities in the cerebral cortex's function and structure can lead to cognitive impairment. Due to the complexity of the brain's function, and the different types of cognitive impairment are interrelated, that is, a cognitive problem in one aspect can lead to cognitive abnormalities in another or more aspects. For example, if a patient has deficits in attention and memory, they will have problems solving problems. Therefore, under Rin Kiyono's cold gaze, Toru Watanabe decided not to be too harsh on girls. One must be strict with oneself and treat others with leniency. He never allowed himself to rely on his appearance to make a living, but he didn't object to others relying on their appearance to make a living. After a long paragraph of knowledge from Wikipedia, the two of them arrived at Rin Kiyono's apartment. "Thank you for sending me back." "No problem. Good night." "Good night." Rin Kiyono stood in front of the apartment and watched Toru Watanabe's back gradually disappear under the streetlight. She only turned around and went upstairs when she couldn't see him anymore. Chapter 80. At 6:30 a.m. on Saturday morning, Toru Watanabe finished his run and his gymnastics. Considering that he had to spend the whole day with the girl, he took a shower and changed into clean underwear. He took the 7 o'clock a.m. tram to Shiya Station. Leaning against the door, he thought to himself, going out often might be one of the best ways to become more beautiful. Because one had to pay attention to one's image, not to mention bathing frequently, trimming one's nails, and putting on makeup, just straightening one's back subconsciously would change one's temperament over time. Of course, lazy people were not included in this list, but they also lived more freely. While Toru Watanabe was lost in his thoughts, the tram drove into Shiya Station. There was no one on the ramp from the station to Kamigawa. Toru Watanabe took out his phone and took a selfie with himself and the ramp. Toru Watanabe. First day of early training for Miki. Miki, good girl. Your debit card has been transferred 1 million yen to your account at 7:13 a.m. on June 22nd. Your balance is 102105652 yen. Toru Watanabe. Was he short of this 1 million yen? Although the 100 million yen in his card was obtained because of Miki Kujo. But what was the use of having so much money? The only thing Toru Watanabe wanted to do now was to transfer money to his parents so that they could relax a little. But it was not easy to explain the source of the money. If he did not explain it clearly, it would only make the elders worried. Toru Watanabe changed into indoor shoes in an empty shoe cabinet. He covered his mouth with his hand and yawned as he walked to the music classroom. When he reached the second floor, the soft sound of a musical instrument came from the distant overhead corridor. It was a very deep bass horn. Currently, Mayasahi was the only person in Kamikawa Yukibu who could play this kind of instrument. Mayasahi was very beautiful, especially her watery eyes, which always reminded Toru Watanabe of the clear streams that flowed down from the mountains in his hometown. Not only was her playing ability high, but she was also beautiful. Even her academic results were the best among the third grade. This was closely related to the fact that she had arrived earlier than Toru Watanabe. Outstanding people were actually better at making use of time. In other words, only those who were better at making use of time could become outstanding people. Toru Watanabe went directly to the corridor on the 5th floor, put his bag on the ground, and took out the oboe officially named Black Duck from the instrument box. A long note that was not in tune was accompanied by a trumpet that echoed in the deserted schoolhouse in the early morning. Just as Toru Watanabe was engrossed in his practice, Mayasahi came to his side and looked at him with her clear eyes. "Senpai Asahi." Toru Watanabe was shocked. He didn't even hear the sound of footsteps. Mayasahi nodded silently. Her naturally hanging bangs swayed gently, like the grass by the stream, natural and refreshing. "Good morning." Toru Watanabe didn't know what to say. Thinking of the last two things, he felt a little embarrassed. "Good morning." After a near whisper of greeting, Mayasahi silently stared at Toru Watanabe again. After a while, just as Toru Watanabe was thinking of something to say, her slender and delicate fingers slowly moved up. Then, without saying a word, she began to unbutton her shirt. Toru Watanabe's eyes widened. Don't get me wrong, this is a surprise, not to see more clearly. Senpai, what are you doing? Wearing blue underwear today. So that's what my question meant. Toru Watanabe said, but didn't make a move. People who make a move at this time all want me to help them take off their clothes, right? Toru Watanabe wasn't that kind of person. My senpai. A cheerful voice came. Watanabe, Sen actually came so early? I thought I would be the second. Aoi Ichiki walked over with cheerful steps. The heavy trumpet in her arms didn't seem to weigh her at all. At that moment, Toru Watanabe clearly saw a flash of dissatisfaction in Masahi's clear eyes. Itsuki-san, for your own good, really for your own good, please appear at the right time next time. Twice now. Toru Watanabe hated it. He wanted to look at the blue sky. Aoi Ichiki pestered Masahi, who had returned to normal, to do morning exercises together. Toru Watanabe played the oboe to the distant tram from Shiya Station. Because of the carbon dioxide accumulated in his lungs, he felt dizzy for a while. After 8 o'clock, people began to appear in the corridor or the music room one after another. Some were practicing their instruments, and some were loudly reciting English words. After 9 o'clock, almost everyone came. The sound of various instruments mixed together, making a noise worse than the crows on the tennis court. Why were there crows everywhere in Tokyo? The number was so high that the government had to implement relevant measures, including setting up bird nets in garbage collection areas, implementing garbage collection at night, and so on. What can we see from this? There's really a lot of garbage in Tokyo. Yes. At 10 o'clock, Toru Watanabe was tired of practicing. He put his instrument aside, hummed the tune according to the music score, and walked to the toilet. On the way, he met Rin Kiyono, who came out of the trombone section. She smiled with appreciation after hearing his song. You've improved, it's less unpleasant than yesterday. She made a 1 centimeter distance between her thumb and forefinger. Are you mocking me? Toru Watanabe, who could barely be considered a fan of 2D, knew the joke of the finger universe. Rin Kiyono tilted her head in confusion. She didn't know why someone would be angry after being praised by someone as excellent as her. Nothing. I'm going to the toilet. Want to come with me? Toru Watanabe invited. Okay. Rin Kiyono nodded in agreement. So the two of them walked to the toilet together, and Toru Watanabe continued to hum the music score. A little higher here, like this. Rin Kiyono's soft lips opened slightly, and a bright and pleasant voice reached Toru Watanabe's ears. Do you understand? Toru Watanabe imagined her voice in his mind and hummed. Make the middle note longer. Toru Watanabe hummed again. Can your anger only come out in waves? Make it longer. The two of them walked to the toilet and separated at the sink. When Toru Watanabe came out to wash his hands, he heard from the female toilet. That arrogant first year. There were also curses. How dare you belittle our strength as if it's worthless, saying that we've wasted 3 years of practice, and that it's better to learn from scratch. Then the voices stopped abruptly, and Rin Kiyono came out of the toilet. She calmly washed her hands in front of Toru Watanabe, and then used a white handkerchief to wipe it clean. On the way back to the music room, Toru Watanabe asked, Are you okay? I'm not here to make them like me. As long as they participate in the training and successfully enter the national competition, it's enough. You're really amazing. Toru Watanabe admired her strength from the bottom of his heart. I'm only a first year, but I have the ability to guide them, and every word I say hits their weakest point, so it's natural for them to hate me. It's not something that can be easily changed with a better attitude and a more tactful tone. At this point, Toru Watanabe understood Rin Kiyono's personality a little, and knew that she didn't care what others thought of her. He changed the topic and asked, Can you really enter the national competition? No one can stop me from moving forward. Rin Kiyono's answer was very characteristic of her, overly narcissistic. Chapter 81. During the lunch break, Toru Watanabe took the initiative to leave the music classroom. He planned to go to the human observation department and take a nap on the sofa, but Rin Kiyono was there, listening to the performance of the famous blowing school. Thinking that it was impolite to sleep in front of someone who was working hard, he went to the field to find Osamu Kanai. Although he was only a reserve member, this guy was working hard for the Koshien qualifiers in July. Watanabe, you're just in time, hurry up. Before Toru Watanabe could react, Osamu Kanai gave him a pair of baseball gloves and a ball. What are you doing? Please come and be my pitcher and train with me, Osamu Kanai said as he turned around and walked to the strike zone. After being asked to train by his good friend, Toru Watanabe couldn't say that he was taking a nap. If he had known, he wouldn't have come and just went back to the classroom to sleep. He turned around and found the pitcher's mound, walked over unenthusiastically, and put on the baseball gloves that were the right size. Come on, Daina, throw your last ball. Osamu Kanai, who was in a striking position, shouted at Toru Watanabe. Sorry, I'm playing from the card, not Ultraman. Because the distance between the strike zone and the pitcher's mound was 18.44 meters, Toru Watanabe subconsciously said it in a normal voice, but it didn't reach him. But it didn't matter. Toru Watanabe would defend the face of the card. The winning rule has been determined. Toru Watanabe shouted this time. What are you talking about? Toru Watanabe took advantage of Osamu Kanai's confusion to throw the ball, but it was still easily hit by his opponent. The ball is too slow, Osamu Kanai shouted. Toru Watanabe rubbed his arm, which was a little uncomfortable after using all his strength, and reflected on himself. Sure enough, the creation of the law of victory is unreliable. Speaking of which, this guy is famous for being defeated. Thinking about it again, Toru Watanabe reached into the basket and took out a new ball. Your father. Go. Toru Watanabe threw the ball at the top of his game. Bang! The metal bat hit the ball with a crisp sound, and then the ball flew straight into the blue summer sky. It's impossible for Daina to win. Give up and become light with me. Osamu Kanai waved his baseball bat proudly. Burn your life force. Bang. Showtime. Bang. Die. There's no such line. Stop trying to fish in troubled waters. Shut up. It's fake. Aren't you playing with a qualified card face? Let me punish you. Sacrifice yourself for the greater good, Osamu Kanai said as he waved his bat with all his might. A beautiful home run was born. In the music classroom, a few girls were chatting by the window about boring topics. Did you know? Tamako from the dance club next door is dating Bienzo. Bienzo? Who are you talking about? It's that handsome blonde guy from year 3 class 3. The one who secretly gets ear studs. The one who's always taking videos with a camera. He's so beautiful, you know? He asked you to take a short video. Oh, him. Although he's not bad looking, his personality is not my cup of tea. You're not from the Appearance Association? Shallow. Yoshimi Tamamo pretended to be disdainful, and everyone laughed meaninglessly. That's great, I want a boyfriend too. Look. Everyone followed her line of sight. Under the June afternoon sun, the girls would never leave the indoor temperature unguarded. 2 boys were hitting a baseball on the baseball field. The person in the hitting zone was shouting something at the pitcher's zone. And then it was obvious that the pitcher had taken advantage of his unpreparedness to throw the ball in his hand with a swing of his arm. Through the window, the slightly distorted light shone on the pitcher. Because of the large swing of his arm, the iron-straight white shirt was wrinkled, and his handsome face shone brightly, making people unable to take their eyes off him. Suddenly, perhaps because it was hot, or because it was convenient for him to exert force, the pitcher boldly unbuttoned the 3 buttons on his collar. His collarbone and fair chest were all exposed. The girls looked and looked, and for some reason, they felt a little breathless. When they came back to their senses, they looked at each other and lowered their eyes in embarrassment. Watanabe classmate is so handsome. Hee. Don't tell me you like him? He has a girlfriend, and it's a rich lady. No such thing. I just admire his looks. Oh, really? Why did you look away? If Watanabe breaks up with Kujo classmate, and takes the initiative to confess to me, it's not impossible for me to go out with him. How dare you say that? You actually want him to confess? The girls laughed again, but this time Yoshimi Tamamo didn't laugh. She looked at Toru Watanabe on the field, and her hand unconsciously stroked the trombone in her arms. But I found a secret. Watanabe might be secretly being sweet with the rich lady behind Kujo's back. The rich lady was a derisive nickname for Rin Kiyono in the trumpet club. That's impossible, right? Why not? In the past 2 days, I saw the two of them walking together several times, even going to the toilet together. Do you believe it? Also, Watanabe sent the rich lady home yesterday. Isn't that too timing? That's terrible as expected. Handsome guys are all bad, right, Haume? I don't know if he's a handsome guy, but Toru Watanabe is definitely a scumbag. Wow. This is the first time I've seen Haume target someone like that. This is also the first time I've heard Haume say that about a guy. However, although he's a scumbag, if he's willing to turn over a new leaf and promise to only treat me well in the future, it's not impossible to go out with him. Annoying. Handsome guys are justice. Isn't it because he's interested in someone else's body? What a perverted declaration. The girls laughed again. The 1-hour lunch break quickly passed, and Toru Watanabe reeked of sweat. He was too embarrassed to go back to the oboe and bassoon section, so he went to the human observation section's activity room. The cold air in the room instantly made him come back to life. Rin Kiyono was listening to music attentively when she suddenly smelled the stench of sweat and frowned slightly. She took off one of her earphones and looked at Toru Watanabe from head to toe. Running? Toru Watanabe didn't really want to talk, so he waved his hand weakly. Baseball. If your hands are sore the next day, it's completely self-inflicted. I won't allow you to take leave and stop training. How heartless. But don't worry, I've been training regularly, so this amount of exercise isn't a problem at all. That's good. Rin Kiyono put on her earphones again and immersed herself in the world of music. Toru Watanabe rested for a while and took grapes from the fridge to eat. As he ate, he stared blankly at the sky outside the window. Suddenly he slapped the table. Rin Kiyono was startled, and her shoulders trembled. What are you doing? There was a hint of anger in her voice. Toru Watanabe swallowed the grape. I was wondering why I kept losing, so it's because I didn't shout transform at the beginning. Rin Kiyono was puzzled. It's like this. Forget it, I'll show you. Toru Watanabe stood up, circled his slim waist, and took out his phone. Remember, the transformation password is 555. If you press 5821, you'll summon a motorcycle. I don't have dreams, but I can protect them. Transform. Rin Kiyono looked at him without any fluctuation in her eyes. Cough. Toru Watanabe coughed, sat down, and reached out to pluck a grape. Rin Kiyono slowly retracted her emotionless gaze and continued listening to the music. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.